Grand Prix Speedway is back. And it's better than ever in '98. Rule changes mean more of the world's best riders will compete to be world champion. The 6-round series starts this weekend in the Czech Republic. It's tougher than ever. Greg Hancock is the defending champion. The winners of last year return and guarantee the 1998 Speedway Grand Prix could be the best yet.
Yes, it's the time of the year to hit the shale. Welcome back to Grand Prix Speedway. It's the 4th year of the Grand Prix format, and what a success it's been. This year, though, it's sure to be even better. With me in the studio for round 1 is former Speedway World Champion Sam Emelianenko. Thanks for joining us, Sam.
You're welcome, Keith.
And former long track world champion Kelvin Tatum. Nice to see you again, Kel.
Thanks very much, Keith.
Now, I've already mentioned that we've had some rule changes for '98, and in my opinion, it'll make things even more exciting. I'll try and go through them as quick as I can. 24 riders this year compared with 18 of last year. 21 are contracted for the entire year, and 3 wildcards have been nominated by the FIM, the organising body. Riders get knocked out at each stage of the Grand Prix. Each Grand Prix is run in 3 parts, and they are the qualifying event, 10 heats, 16 riders, only 8 will go through in qualification. The main event is 10 heats. That's the 8 qualifiers where they meet the top 8 from last year's Grand Prix, so they're seeded through to heat 11 onwards. The finals, that's 4 heats, the top 8 from the main event, so 8 men can go through to win the Grand Prix. Riders have to keep finishing 1st or 2nd, or they're out of here, basically. Riders who run 3rd or 4th in consecutive heats will be out of the Grand Prix completely. We'll keep you posted throughout the Grand Prix as to the developments as far as rules are concerned. Last year was the 3rd year of the Grand Prix format. As we now know it, here's a reminder of what happened.
It was in the Czech Republic that Grand Prix champion Billy Hamel started his title defence. The lineup was impressive. 18 men were ready for battle.
This is show business.
Away on the inside goes Hancock. Hancock's got to the apex. Hancock's got the racing line. Hamel comes round the outside. It's America 1 and 2. There's the wave from the winner. Hancock wins. Hamel is 2nd. The Poles come over the line with Thomas Golob in 3rd place. Round 2 was in Sweden. Through to the A final were Tony Rickardsson, Hans Nilsson, Greg Hancock and Thomas Golob. Away they go on the inside, Rickardsson. Golob cuts across the sandwich. The meat in the sandwich there is Greg Hancock. Thomas Golob in the yellow helmet colours is going to take the checkered flag. He looks back. Thomas Golob does a wheelie as he wins the Grand Prix. Germany hosted round 3 of the series, but it was the Great Dane Hans Nilsson who dominated proceedings. The Professor was awesome and made it look easy. Hans Nilsson is the German Grand Prix champion. In yellow and black, Brian Anderson is 2nd. Greg Hancock is back in 3rd place. By the time the Grand Prix came to the Odsal Stadium near Bradford, Britain was desperate for a winner. The fans went mad for Marc Laram, who'd ridden brilliantly through the heats. Despite having the pick of the gate, Laram suffered his worst nightmare, a bad start. Back in last place, Marc just couldn't fight back. Brian Anderson was the winner of the British Grand Prix. Laram was crushed. Poland has the biggest speedway following of all. It was a Pole in the former Peter Protasevich who led out the A final of series leader Greg Hancock, defending champion Billy Hamel and fellow countryman Thomas Golob. 2 Americans versus 2 Poles. This is the finale, away they go. Hamel kicks it down on the inside. Hancock picks it up front. Golob goes wide. Golob tries to go through. Gets held up. Into 2nd place goes Billy Hamel. It's America 1 and 2. Golob has a lot to do.
to take the checkered flag.
Hancock's win meant that he'd only to make the A final at the last round to be champion, and he knew it. The final round of the 1997 Grand Prix Speedway World Championship was in Denmark at the Vojens track. Greg Hancock was confident of making the all-important A final, and Hancock was in brilliant form in his heat races. His last heat race was just a formality, and with outgoing champion Billy Hamill looking on, Hancock made the perfect gate.
Greg Hancock, the 27-year-old from Whittier in California, knows that he is going to be crowned world champion tonight. What a happy night it is for him.
But there was still the A final to come. Hancock may have been world champion already, but there was still the matter of who was to become Danish Grand Prix winner. Mark Laram had an outside chance of winning for Britain, his last of the year.
Away they go, Rickardsson on the inside, Laram caught at the start, he's got to go round the outside, he has got both two men, he's picking up, but coming through, there goes Laram round the outside of Golov. Laram is really racing here, he's gone from last to first, Laram is down this straight in front, what a ride by the brick. But Laram is going to win this one, he waves to the crowd, he takes the checkered flag, we've got a British Grand Prix winner, he is Mark Laram.
It took 3 years of Grand Prix Speedway racing for a Briton to emerge on top. Mark Laram was the man. But the newly crowned Grand Prix World Champion was the magnificent Greg Hancock.
And at the end of 1997, it was Hancock who took over from his teammate Billy Hamill at the top of the Grand Prix tree. 96 champion Hamill then forced back into second place. Thomas Golov, the favourite pole, was in third. Tony Rickardsson, former world champion, there in fourth. Mark Laram, oh, didn't he leave it to the last minute to take a win for Britain? The only win a British rider has ever had at Grand Prix level. Brian Anderson, the British Grand Prix winner, there in sixth place overall. Hans Nielsen, 4 times a world champion, could only manage 7th this year. And Jimmy Nielsen rounds out the top 8. What a fantastic year it was, and a chance to talk about last year as well. Sam, the Americans have it covered. I know you'd like to make it a 3-man event at the front of the group, but they really do have something a little special, those two, don't they?
Yeah, I'm impressed with the way the Americans went. I mean, I've been team captain for many years for the American team, and to see Greg and Billy both just triumph over the last couple of years, pretty proud.
Kelvin, from the British angle, Mark Laram, he blew it in Britain at Oddsall, but didn't he come back strong in the end? Yeah, he rode brilliantly at Vojens, and particularly in that bit of video we've just seen, he blasted around the outside in the A final at Vojens. It was unfortunate at Oddsall. It would have been fantastic for him to have won there. I think he would have been better if he'd been the last qualifier for the final and hadn't had to pick the gates. But I think he learnt a lot by that and went on to win the next round, which showed a lot of character. Certainly rescued it as far as the British fans were concerned. Let's take a look at then how they're going to line up this evening. These will be the first ones that we see out. Ryan Sullivan, Jason Crump, a favourite of ours, Castagna, Adorian, Protasiewicz, Dano, Adams and Boyce. Qualifying through, they hope, in the top 8. They've got to go through, remember, only 8 of these 2 pages first go through. Andy Smith, Chris Louis for Britain, Henke Gustafsson, Jesper Jensen is there, Antonin Kasper Jr., Bo Brehol is also through, Gerd Rist, and Peter Carlson takes over from number 20, Sebastian Ulemek, who is out with a broken collarbone. These men are seeded through to Heat 11, so the first these guys get a chance out on the track is as late as Heat 11. Everyone else will have had a ride already. Hancock, Hamill, Golov, Rickardsson, Laram, Anderson, Nielsen and Nilsson go through. Well, what a day it is as well. And I've got to say, a bone of contention, it would seem, with the new rules this year, and we'll bring it up at this point in the show, is that the seeded riders don't get a ride until Heat 11, and the qualifying riders have already had 2, maybe even 3 rides before the seeded riders get a chance to go out. Sam first, what sort of a problem is that going to cause the seeded riders, do you think?
Well, I think the seeded riders, I mean, they have to kind of keep their eye on what's going on the racetrack the whole time. I mean, you're probably biting your nails thinking that you know, maybe second guessing what maybe your bike setups are and learning from practice to race day. And you probably pick up key points when you're watching the first round of the first half of the program go by on what riders are doing better or worse. You pick what gates are working better. It might go for you or go against you. If gate 1 happens to be the one that everybody's winning on, and you're in gate 2 or 3 and you know, or 1 or 2, you know, you're going to be second guessing your chances.
Complex indeed. We're going to have plenty to look at tonight, Kelvin, that's for certain. Now, what about machine setup? Again, it's the seeded riders have to wait until heat 11 before they can actually check out their bike. And as we know, conditions on trackside can change overnight.
Absolutely, and I feel that they're at quite a disadvantage. I know personally, I think at a World Championship event, you want to get your first ride under your belt and settle your nerves, and your whole team relaxes. I think watching several heats go by, your mind could get into turmoil about what setup, what bike to ride, where to start from. I think that the chaps going out in the first part of the meeting will have an advantage come the second half.
Well, of course, the qualifying riders will be quite happy to see the seeded riders have as much trouble as they possibly can tonight. All part of the show, I think. Now then, we can cross to Jonathan Green, who's at trackside with last year's world champion, Greg Hancock.
Well, a warm welcome to the Marketa Stadium here in Prague for the first Grand Prix of the season. And in terms of the weather, well, we were expecting rain early in the afternoon, but as you can see now, the weather is perfect conditions for the first race of the year. And with me is the current world champion, Greg Hancock, and you'll know more about the conditions than me, of course. But in terms of the overall way you're going to approach this year, not only have you got to try to do back-to-back championships, something that no one's really done since, what, Nielsen back in the 80s, but they've changed the format on you, and you've got another 8 riders to contend with.
Oh yeah, it's a complete different format, and I think everybody that's here today and the ones watching TV tonight are also watching to see what's going to happen, because it's kind of a knockout system. I don't actually start the meeting until heat 11, so I've got quite a lot of watching to do and trying to see what sort of experience that I've gained in the past is going to go to work and work well for me tonight.
Everybody at home wants to know what kind of conditions we've got in front of us here in Prague. I know you've raced here many times, and I just saw you walking around the track. Tell us about what we've got here.
Well, I tell you, basically, I mean, in comparison to an English track, this track's a very fine type of dirt, type of shale, and it seems to be never ending, really, when you're digging down with your foot, and it seems to sort of keep going. It's quite hard here, but some places it'll make dirt as the night goes on. It'll just gradually turn over with water and grading, but it looks pretty good. It's a little bit of dirt on the inside, and I'm sure that, like, practice was great yesterday, and judging by the way it went, I imagine it's going to make a little bit of dirt today, and hopefully we'll see some exciting racing.
All right, well, the world champ's up for it, but so is everybody else. There's 23 other competitors. We're all going for it, though. Let's go back to the studio.
Jonathan Green at trackside with last year's world champion, Greg Hancock. Coming up after the break, the qualifying heats.
I'm Andy Gray. Join us here on Sky Sports for Cup Final Saturday. And what a day we've got in store for you. Assen.
Yes, well, it would be a pity to miss a Cup Final special of Soccer AM. Trevor?
Without a doubt, Arson. Now, tell us what else we can expect. Peter Beardsley.
Well, if you've ever wondered what happened to the footballing greats of the past, find out in the Wembley winners. Where are they now?
14 hours of Sky Sports superb coverage with Alan Shearer.
Our performance on Saturday could raise a few eyebrows.
Dennis Bergkamp.
For sure, this should be a simply sensational situation.
Stuart Pearce.
I've lost it now.
And John Barnes.
But we're expecting it to be a very fast game, but
So join me, Andy Gray, for our unbeatable live match coverage. Kevin.
And the best build-up you're ever going to see. You'll love it.
Join a cast of thousands for a whole day of Cup Final fever Saturday morning from 8 on Sky Sports.
Accept no imitations.
It's deep down there. You can sense it. It'll beat the cold. New Mobil 1, the world's most advanced engine oil. It'll stand the heat. It's with you wherever you go. You can feel it. New Mobil 1 0W40. It will protect your car. And it will protect you. Mobil 1. Feel the difference.
To be modern means to believe in the potential of your time and to use the potential of your time. We all take enormous satisfaction in getting something done. Man kann so sitzen, man kann nicht auch so sitzen. We want to be a learning organization. To be involved with the new technology makes you learn every day. Am I having fun? Yeah, a lot.
back to the Marquetta Stadium, and ecstatic fans are waiting for the first of the qualifying heats. And there they are. As the riders were presented to them, these were the scenes around the track. A superb sight for round one here, of course, in Czechoslovakia. It's a great day indeed. And gentlemen, we're looking forward to, in fact, it's Czech Republic, of course. I can't say Czechoslovakia anymore, can I, Sam? Marquetta, the track itself, a good track as far as the fans are concerned?
I think it's a narrow track, and it tends to make really good racing. You can use the fence. I've used it a couple times trying to qualify there. I think some of the starting gates might favor certain times of the night more than other times.
A lot of tension, though. We can see that from our pictures already as they're preparing for the first of the qualifying heats, Calvin.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. This is a tense period for everybody, and you know, they're all sort of concerned about the start place and just want to get out in front. Prague's actually quite a square track, so it's important to make starts here. If you get out front and you ride a good line, you can pretty much defend your position quite comfortably.
Well, we're going to find out more about that as the evening goes on. That's about as much as we can discuss for the moment here in the studio. We can cross now to our commentary team to set the scene in the Czech Republic. Peter Collins and, of course, Tony Millard.
14 degrees it is here in the Marquetta Stadium here in Prague. Perfect conditions for Speedway, as on the inside is Ryan Sullivan from Australia in red. Craig Boyce, his fellow Aussie in blue in gate 2. Gate 3 is Andy Smith, the 3 times British champion. On the outside is Gerd Riss, the German, who may be suited by this track. Near perfect conditions. First away from the tapes will be vital. On the inside, the 2 Aussies have got it. Ryan Sullivan is there, followed by Craig Boyce in blue. In white is Andy Smith of Britain going wide. Cutting through on the inside, it's Gerd Riss. It's getting competitive, but the Aussies doing well.
That's right, Ryan Sullivan's looking very, very quick. He made a beautiful start there from the inside gate position, and he's just pulling away from the others. He is riding really, really well in his first Grand Prix season.
Going well for the 2 Aussies out front. Andy Smith having a battle with Gerd Riss at the back. That's where those 2 are. Gerd Riss, the man in yellow and black. Andy Smith in white. But no doubt about the quality out front. Going very well indeed, Ryan Sullivan in his first Grand Prix, the 23-year-old. Hugging the curb there now, down the back straight. Followed by Craig Boyce, 2 years ago, the Australian champion, who spent the winter of Australia, or the winter from England rather, in this country. But Ryan Sullivan having it very much his own way at the moment as he stretches the lead away from his teammate and compatriot. Those dirt deflectors they're wearing for the first time on their back wheels there to good effect, keeping the dirt down. But Ryan Sullivan is getting quicker and quicker, has time to look back, and there's no doubt about the quality there as he takes the checkered flag. Ryan Sullivan is the winner there. Ahead of in second place his fellow Australian Craig Boyce, and back in third there in the white helmet colours, I think it was, coming through there was Andy Smith of Britain. But there's the winner, Ryan Sullivan, the 23-year-old Aussie.
Yeah, what a fantastic start there for Ryan Sullivan. He just made a beautiful start from the gate. We can see here the start. That's Craig Boyce there, the fellow Australian. You can see his hand there, feathering that clutch. But Sullivan's on the inside, doing exactly the same thing. But he's on the inside. He's got the perfect line when he gets to the turn. Everybody's all bunched up going into that turn. You can see Andy Smith there seems to pull away from that middle group, but he hits a bit of water there, which has been put down to keep the dust down, but there's a bit of dust flying. But you can see Sullivan's already gone the shortest way round that first corner to take that win. We can see that one again. You can see Sullivan on the inside. His front wheel lifts, immediately he drops that clutch, but he races straight into that first corner there. What a perfect first corner that for him. He's only 20 years old, and what a rider, absolutely brilliant. He's already looking around to see where the opposition is, and what a great win there for Ryan Sullivan.
So a great start for the Australians as we wait for heat number 2, and there are 2 more Australians in that. Jason Crump will go for the inside, Lee Adams will go from gate 2, and the Great Britain captain Chris Louis will be the man in white. And in yellow and black there, well, in his home country, Bahama Brahel, who's actually banned in Britain for the next 4 weeks because he didn't ride for Kings Lynn in midweek. Heat number 2 on the way, preparing themselves to move for the pits, but certainly Peter Collins alongside with the advantage of going early for these lads. They'll learn about the track. There's Chris Louis anticipating this and certainly wanted to do well in the Grand Prix this season as he gets ready. There's Lee Adams, who rides for Swindon in Great Britain, of course, the British Elite League. And the final rider there in the red, Jason Crump, of course, through the traditional Speedway family. Competitive one this, Peter.
Yeah, you know, there's been a lot of talk about Jason Crump this year. He's been riding absolutely brilliantly in the Elite League in Britain. and he's just there waiting to win this World Championship. Whether this is going to be his year, I don't know, but we'll soon see, because he is the lad that's in form at the moment, and if any of the real young lads are going to make it, young Jason is, and what a good rider he is.
It looks as if from that first heat, though, that inside gate certainly early on is going to be a valuable one to have, the way Ron Sullivan used it.
Yeah, I think so. Like I say, it's the shortest route to the first turn. The corners are reasonably tight here, and the straights are quite narrow. And of course, you've got a big advantage when you get to that first corner if you are on the inside. It's not allowed the riders on the outside of you to make a good line, to take the extra outside speed. So, you know, really at this stage in the meeting, that's the best place to be, on the inside.
We saw those dirt deflectors there, Peter, being used for the first time in Grand Prix racing. Familiar, of course, to Britain in British Speedway, but a bit strange for some of the Continentals.
Yeah, I think some of the Continental lads are a bit shocked by these, because they've not used them before. But everybody that's raced in the Elite League in Britain know all about these. We've had them now for 2 or 3 years, and they were originally developed by Barry Briggs, and they've been a big success, really. I think for a rider who's not particularly good at making starts, it's quite good, because it doesn't throw too much dirt over you. You know, the dirt sort of stays on the ground because it's not being thrown all over you, and it makes it better for racing, and perhaps easier to see where you're going if you do happen to get behind.
And much better for the big crowd here in this stadium in Prague, and certainly it means they don't get covered in shale, and this is a fine type of shale, as we heard Greg Hancock talking about early on, which can, of course, bar the dirt deflectors, sort of spray up almost as a vapour towards the crowd on the outside of those bends. That's Jason Crump in the red helmet colours. He'll go from the inside, wearing the number 10 helmet colour, of course, from Australia. Yellow and black there of Hamel Brahel in the Czech Republic, his home nation, of course. He's been going from the outside. Throughout the meeting, the red helmet colour will be worn by the man on the inside, blue in gate number 2, white in gate number 3, and yellow on the outside, and that is, of course, except for the grand final, the finale heat 24, where they certainly have a choice. At the moment, that choice would certainly be on the inside, where we have Jason Crump. Lee Adams in blue is gate 2. Chris Louis from Ipswich, the Great Britain captain, the English Lions captain, he goes from gate 3. On the outside is Hamel Brahel. Starting Marshall Swire, where they're going from the inside there, but in blue. Lee Adams it is, looks as if he makes it to the apex of the bend. Lee Adams does, coming round the outside. Hamel Brahel, the Czech who rides for King's Lynn, is mounting a challenge. But the quality here of the man in blue, and Jason Crump surprisingly back in third and tailed off at the back now. There in the white helmet colour is Chris Louis. That's pretty disappointing for him as he battles to come through. He's made it to third place in front of Crump, who's gone to the back, and Chris Louis needs to battle here.
Yeah, I think I said the wrong thing there about Jason Crump. Poor Chris Louis there is back in third place, the New England captain, but he seems to be catching there on Bo Braille. He's really having a go now, Chris Louis. I just hope he can keep this up and manage to squeeze by Braille if he can.
Yet another good performance, though, by an Australian out front in Lee Adams. He's doing very, very well indeed, pursued by the Czech Hamel Brahel. Back in third place there is Chris Louis, and Jason Crump looks to have retired at the back now. But out front, it's Lee Adams. Adams is going well. Adams is showing superb style here. But Hamel Brahel is keeping a tight line, but there's a challenge from Chris Louis. Can Louis get round? Brahel holds him off. Adams looks back. Brahel takes second place. Louis takes third place. What a heat that was. And in the end, Jason Crump pulling up. Real disappointment for him. He's work to do yet in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was a bad first ride for Crumpy, that's for sure. But what a start there from Lee Adams. These Australians have really got a strong field now in this World Championship. We can see the start there now, the rider in white, Chris Louis. He seems to make a good start. You see there, he's got 2 fingers just feathering that clutch there. He's got his legs right out at the back, but we can already see the rider in blue there, Lee Adams, already diving for that inside line. He's stopped Jason Crump completely. Crump is out of the picture here, but look at Lee Adams' front wheel. It's just slightly bouncing all the way around that turn. Little bits of dirt squirting up from that front wheel because the back wheel is getting so much grip, just enough to get him so much acceleration out of that first turn. We can see there, shiny soles going into the bend from Chris Louis, but already round the inside there, see Jason Crump, but already way out in front there is Lee Adams. A very dominant ride there by Lee.
Yes, no doubt about the quality of the Australians. Australia first heat, Australia the second heat. Disappointment for Jason Crump. And Chris Louis will have to battle to avoid third place in his next outing. Third and fourth, of course, will disappear if they have a second, third and fourth, and Chris Louis finishing third there under this new formula. But a good performance by the local man, the Hamel Brahel, in the yellow and black helmet colours. Disappointment for Jason Crump at the back, who still has much to do. Well, as we get ready for heat number 3 there, the yellow-black helmet colours again, Tony Kasper, who has ridden in the British League. His father was an ace Speedway rider from the Czech Republic. Tony Kasper's ridden for Bradford, ridden for Eastbourne, ridden for several more. There's Henrik Gustafsson, the Swede, who's threatened so much in Grand Prix. There's the other Swede, a surprise man to get through to this Grand Prix, Stefan Dano, who did it the hard way. And there's Amanda Castagna, the veteran Italian, who certainly played his part in many Speedway meetings around the world in the last few years. There's dirt defectors again, dragging on the ground behind as they go out there, keeping the dirt down, and I dare say keeping those perimeter fences, the safety barriers, Peter, quite clean as compared with what used to happen.
Yeah, it does such a lot, to be honest. I mean, a lot of the tracks we have in England are inside dog tracks, and you know, you've got various things on the outside that the shale flying over the fence doesn't do a lot of good to them, and to be honest, it keeps most of the shale on the track rather than throwing it over the fence, so that's another very good advantage, apart from the riders being able to see where they're going a lot better.
So we're coming up to the starting gate. These heats getting through fairly quickly, certainly the first 4. It's Amanda Castagna from Italy on the inside in red. Stefan Dano from Sweden goes from gate number 2. There is man in blue, that's Stefan Dano, making sure that he can get a decent start and trying to get a little bit of purchase there. At gate 3, that's Henrik Gustafsson, another Swede, and on the outside in yellow and black, that's Tony Kasper, the Czech Republic rider. Looking down on those lads at the starting marshal will get them up to line and move away. Once again, well, it's going to be vital who gets to the first bend. A big track though, and at the moment the surface looking sound. Crowd looking on intently. Thousands of poles have come across the border here from the Marquetta Stadium. There we go from the inside. It's Castagna, but picking it up in blue and holding away on the apex there is Stefan Dano, who rides for Eastbourne in the British League. Now moving through into second place in yellow and black, Tony Kasper. Back in third is Amanda Castagna, and tail off at the rear is Henrik Gustafsson. Disappointment for Henrik Gustafsson, that experienced Swede, but out front here, well, Dano is looking good.
Yeah, Dano's absolutely flying, but you know, Gustafsson's quite disappointing. He's showed a lot of promise over the last 5 years, and he's really not fulfilled the total of his ability. He's struggling now at the back, but Dano, his fellow Swedes, making up for it completely, because Dano, his very first Grand Prix race, again, he's way out in front, and he seems to have this track weighed up beautifully.
Yeah, Stefan Dano, of course, getting the practice on the track yesterday and flying over earlier in the week, and Stefan Dano out front. Back in second place is Tony Kasper, of course, a lot of local knowledge there. And coming up now in third place is Amanda Castagna, and disappointment at the rear certainly there for Henrik Gustafsson. And I think he might be changing a gear or two when he gets back into the pits before his next ride. But Stefan Dano certainly looking the part here. Dano takes that ahead of in second place in yellow there, Tony Kasper, and back in third, well, certainly Amanda Castagna, their comfortable third place for him, and Stefan Dano, the winner there, will be a happy man in his first ever Grand Prix.
Yes, Tony, we can see this start here, the rider in white there, Gustafsson. He lifts far too much there. His front wheel's probably about a foot off the ground, and that's basically all wrong, because instead of going forwards, he's gone upwards, and it's just allowed the other riders to get to that turn ahead of him. Only very slightly, but it's just enough to put him into last place there. But you can see there, the rider in blue, Dano, you can see that dirt deflector keeping the dirt down, but Dano, again's got that perfect line around that inside. Certainly early on in the meeting, the inside of the track is the best, and it will change later as we go through the meeting, but right now, Dano is really using that inside to the best of his ability, and he really is going good.
Yes, the dirt deflector bouncing up and down at the back there, but Stefan Dano certainly knew his way round this track here at the Marquetta Stadium, and I think he could spring a shock or two later on. Heat number 4 now as they move away there in the yellow and black. Jesper Jensen, the young Dane, number 21, and certainly he could prove a surprise packet in this one. In the white helmet colours is Peter Carlsson, who's come into the Grand Prix because Sebastian Ulemek has a damaged shoulder. In blue there is Peter Protasiewicz, the Pole, who now rides for Kings Lynn back in this country. He's had a few injury problems already this season. I'm not sure he's fully fit. And there is Zoltán Adorján from Hungary, who's flitted in and out of the top meetings in Europe over the years. And Adorján certainly hopes to make his presence felt here in the Czech Republic. The stadium, the Marquetta Stadium. Beautiful condition here tonight. Just a few miles north of the city centre. Many of the fans, as I said earlier, from Poland. They made their way across the border. Jesper Jensen there making his way. These 4 heats, of course, the preliminaries of much bigger things to come. But the riders finishing 3rd and 4th in these heats have a lot of work to do because they've got to avoid those placings later on if they're going to stay in this. On the inside, Zoltan Adoyan from Hungary. Peter Protasiewicz it is from Poland, turning round, getting a breather, getting some of the, if you like, the vapour, the evaporation away from his visor. Gate 3 there on the left of picture, Peter Carlsson. A little bit fortunate to get into this, only the injury to Ulemek has allowed him to have a place. Peter Carlsson will go from gate 3 with Wolverhampton last year, but not this. And on the inside there, as we look behind the riders as they make it away from the start, that is the Hungarian Zoltan Adoyan. Adoyan on the inside, Protasiewicz gate 2, Peter Carlsson gate 3, and Jesper Jensen from the outside from Denmark, he's at gate 4. This is heat number 4. Remember, these men battling for crucial places to avoid being knocked out, because the first riders to depart from this will be in the next 2 heats. Men finishing 3rd and 4th in each of theirs will go out. We won't see them again tonight. Here is heat number 4. Riders looking across, the magnets go and away into the apex of the bend. Protasiewicz, the pole, who certainly worked well on this track last year, but that speed from Jesper Jensen. Down goes Protasiewicz, he will rebound. Referee seems to be letting it go on, but now disappointment then for the pole, but no such disappointment for the men out front here. The Dane Jesper Jensen in yellow and black. Great star from the youngster, pursued in red by Zoltan Adoyan. Disappointment, Peter, for Peter Protasiewicz.
Yeah, Protasiewicz was there on the first turn, but Jensen just dived ahead of him on that first corner. Jesper Jensen's the current World Under-21 champion, and he's really proving that he's living up to that today. He's really going well.
Looks like pairs racing here, out front there, yellow and black, Jesper Jensen, ahead of Zoltan Adoyan. Peter Protasiewicz took a tumble. We're looking for Peter Carlsson in their wake, but these two are certainly enjoying this track surface here. Jesper Jensen out front, ahead of Zoltan Adoyan. Jesper Jensen got something in hand, one feels here in this one. Comes round this bend into the home straight, waves his or thumps his fist, and certainly quite pleased with that was Jesper Jensen. He took that somewhat with some comfort in front of Zoltan Adoyan. Protasiewicz and Peter Carlsson disappearing at the rear, but no doubt about Jesper Jensen's effort in that one.
Well, we can see the start here. That's Protasiewicz there in the blue. He makes a good start there. You can see him there with the number 13 on the side of his bike. But as he gets to the first corner, he's rushing into that turn there. The rider in white on the outside, Peter Carlsson's got pushed a bit wide, but you can see the start again here. We can see Carlsson in the white helmet, snake a little bit there, but he comes across towards Protasiewicz. Protasiewicz is leading at this stage, but he actually runs right into the side there of Jesper Jensen and overslides it, and down he goes. That was quite close because it could have been really nasty, that, but he just ran out of track. There just wasn't enough room there.
So with the first 4 heats completed, we know the winners, we know the second place men, but the others have plenty to do. There'll be more Speedway from the Marquetta Stadium after the break.
Some people are ungrateful, and they should be taught a lesson.
This guy is gonna kill Bobby's kid if you don't find him.
Hey, Bobby!
What do you want? You show me some respect.
Wesley Snipes.
I just want my son back. I want you to hit a home run for me, Bob. Are you serious? I'm serious as a heart attack, Bobby.
Robert De Niro.
I want you to stand up and tell the 50 million viewers this home run is dedicated to Gil, a true fan.
The Fan premieres Saturday at 10:10 on Sky Movies Screen 2.
Bell's Whiskey, every drop aged 8 years. Onion here is embarrassed. There's a condition which can affect cats called FLUTD. It's rather like cystitis and is more likely to occur in cats who are largely fed on certain dry cat foods.
Happily, Onion doesn't have this condition. He's fed on one of the few dry foods developed to help maintain urinary tract health. Whiskers Complete. He's embarrassed because he doesn't much like having his bits and pieces discussed in public. Do you, Onion? Whiskers Complete, specially developed.
First 4 heats are done and dusted then, and as you can see they're lining up now for heat number 5, and it's all happening down at the Marquetta Stadium. And we can cross now to our commentators, Peter Collins and Tony Millard.
Well, certainly the riders coming out here now for heat number 10. That's Jason Crump there in the white helmet colours. And of course, it's vitally important here because the riders in 3rd place and 4th place in each of these heats will depart from the scene and will take no further part in the meeting. In fact, the man who comes 3rd in this heat will gain 2 Grand Prix points, and the man who comes 4th will gain just 1 Grand Prix point. Coming out there now is Peter Protasevich in the yellow and black, and of course he took a tumble first time out. But that man there is Jason Crump, the Australian, who flattered to deceive. And certainly on the inside there now is Gerd Riss. And our calculation showed perhaps that it should have been a slightly different way round, but never mind. In the blue helmet colours is certainly Amanda Castagna. And so there's the German on the inside, Gerd Riss, a big track specialist, of course. Amanda Castagna is used to big tracks as well. Jason Kump and Peter Protasevich, that is the lineup. This is heat number 5. Peter, this is going to be a tough one for all of these. The nerve ends will be jangling, and that man there, Peter Protasevich, well, he's certainly looking for better because he's fancied by many to do well in the series.
Yeah, that's right. He's riding for Kings Lynn in the Elite League in England, and he's going very, very well for them now, so he certainly doesn't want to go out from this at this stage.
There he is in the yellow-black helmet colours. They'll be looking across to those electronic magnets and let the tapes go up, and there in the blue helmet colours is Amanda Castagna, forcing them wide. Almost coming down is Jason Crump. Crump has to battle. At the rear in yellow and black is Protasevich though, and he could face problems here. He could be out of the Grand Prix. The man in blue, surprisingly, Amanda Castagna, for my money, in front is a surprise along with Jason Crump. Back in 3rd place is Riss, and at the back, disappointment indeed for Protasevich.
Yeah, look at Jason Crump though, he's absolutely riding out of his skin. He did very, very well there to get past Riss on that 3rd lap, but you can see that Castagna is just holding that lead, but Crump's having a go here all the time. But these two will sail through to the next round if it stays like this.
Well, I think Jason Crump, courage there. We saw at the back, Gerd Riss rearing it. He had far from a stable ride, the German, but at the moment out front there in the blue is Amanda Castagna, and it looks as if Castagna, who made it from the gate with a lap to go, is certainly going to take the checkered flag here and sail through to the next round. In blue out front there then is Amanda Castagna. Back in 2nd place is Jason Crump, who has escaped from jail. It's about time, but look at that! Takes a tumble, Castagna, and now coming through is Crump is going to take the checkered flag, and there's an escape for Gerd Riss, but real disappointment for Protasevich, and real disappointment in the tumble for the Italian stallion, Amanda Castagna, who looked seriously hurt, and oh, how it changed on the last bend there, Peter Collins.
Yeah, that was very, very strange that to happen on the last turn. Castagna seemed to have that race sewn up. He was going really, really well, but it seemed to me as though something like a chain broke or something. It just seemed to flick him completely off the bike, and he did land very, very heavily. No, he actually lost his front wheel going into the turn, and he's tangled up with the bike, but Jason Crump there did very, very well to miss Castagna. Poor old Amando's laid out there at the moment. You can see the start here. That's Protasevich there. He's feathering that clutch. He's snaking real bad on the start there. But we can see now Castagna, he's actually sitting up on the track, but unfortunately his Grand Prix is now over. After looking as though he was going to sail through from that heat there to the next round, he's actually sitting there on the track and he's eliminated. Very, very sad for Amando. He must be probably about one of the older riders in this Grand Prix this year. Amando's probably 35, 36 years old. He's perhaps in the twilight of his career, but yeah, it looks as though he'd got a chain problem, as I suspected first. I think he lost his chain going into that first corner and just dived head first into the track there. Very, very sad for him.
Well, certainly disappointment for the Italian there as he goes off. The blue helmet colour is disappearing, and so too is Amanda Castagna. He will be awarded 4th place in that one, which means he gets 1 Grand Prix point. And disappointment for the Polish star Peter Protasiewicz. He will have 2 Grand Prix points as he disappears from this meeting. And the glory, well, is still available to Jason Crump, who finished that certainly in front of Gerd Riss, the German, who will remain in the next stage. And they, of course, between them will have places in the later heats. Jason Crump will go into heat 9 and Gerd Riss will go into heat 10. Well, now the riders are coming out, this time for heat number 6. Rider number 18 there is Chris Louis, wearing the red helmet colours. Number 25 next to him in the blue helmet colours. That's Peter Carlson, of course. Andy Smith, the Brit, will be wearing the white helmet colours and will go from gate number 3. And on the outside is the disappointing Swede, first time out. That's Henrik Gustafsson. Nerve ends will jangle for these, and particularly for Chris Louis, because the last thing he'd want to do is tumble out of the first Grand Prix at the first hurdle. Peter, you've been in all these top events. How nervous will this be for Chris Louis?
Well, I think they're very, very nervous, because this thing is sudden death, isn't it? Probably riders are suddenly realising that, you know, some of them are only going to get 2 rides, and if the riders in this don't get themselves together, then they're going to go out. And we just saw what happened to Castagna. That puts a lot more pressure on the riders, with there being so much at stake. And you know, there's 2 riders out of this race going to be loading up to go home, and I'd be absolutely nerves would be really going for me.
Chris Louis on the inside, Peter Carlson, gate 2. Gate 3 from Britain is Andy Smith, and on the outside is Henrik Gustafsson. It's just like a test match with alternating gates. It's England against Sweden, and well, let's pray for the Brits here. The man on the inside, Chris Louis in red, Andy Smith in white, and those are the men, Peter, we want to see through to the next stage. Let's hope they can do it here in the Markéta Stadium, just north of the city centre of Prague. Beautiful fine night, the clouds moved away, the threat of rain early on has departed, and here it's a magnificent night for Speedway.
Well, if ever we wanted an England 1-2, it's in this one, Tony.
Well, we certainly do. We could be a team race, and I think, well, Gustafsson on the outside there in yellow and black, he will have to jet across and try and hug the bend first, but Louis, well, he can be like lightning from the gate, and that's what he wants. And I wonder if Andy Smith can keep Gustafsson away, and then who knows, maybe the Brits can make it. Starting marshal struggling to get them into line. Remember, this is heat number 6. 2 go out at this stage. 2 have already gone from heat 5, and a great start by Chris Louis. Andy Smith is trying to go through, but coming up in the second place on the outside is Gustafsson. Gustafsson's trying to go right round the outside, but Chris Louis blocked his line. A great start by the England captain. Andy Smith is battling in third, but Louis has it all his own way out front.
Yes, that's brilliant first turn there from Chris Louis. Chris is really pulling away. He's got to stay in this place, but just look at Andy Smith. He's just sailed there past Carlson, straight into 3rd place. If he can just catch up to Gustafsson and get that second, so he could go through to the next round, but we're getting halfway there up to now.
Henrik Gustafsson is so often flattered to deceive in the Grand Prix series. Perhaps a shade lucky to be in this one, but now here in 2nd place could make it. He needs to set out after Chris Louis, but he may be happy to have it safe and sure in 2nd place. But Chris Louis, so disappointing first time out, now could put it all behind him and could take the meeting by storm as it goes on. Half a lap to go. Chris Louis out front, but Andy Smith is coming through. We can see them at the back right-hand side of your picture. Can Andy Smith do it? He's coming. He's trying. He's going to make it. Can he hold him off? No, Gustafsson just beats him on the line. Louis out front. But disappointment for Andy Smith. So near and yet so far for the 3 times British champion. But that man there, Chris Louis, is through to the next stage as heat winner. Andy Smith and Peter Carlson eliminated, as you see from the caption. But that man there, Chris Louis, marches on.
Oh, I really felt for Andy there, Tony. We can see the start here. You can see the 2 riders there on the outside. Chris Louis there's in the red. In the blue there's Peter Carlson. Now they charge into that corner. Louis already is making plans to what he's going to do when he gets there. There's Andy Smith just dropping behind, but Gustafsson gets pushed wide on that first turn. But Chris really now at this stage has got the race sewn up, but Andy's making his move. You can see that dirt deflector there on Chris Louis' bike. It's just pulling that dirt down. But Gustafsson was really struggling in that 2nd place. We can see him there in the yellow. He's having terrible problems to keep that bike going, and this is the last corner now. See, Andy dives up the inside. He knows everything's on this turn, Andy's sitting back quite early, he lifts in the middle of the bend, and I think that's what cost Andy that extra couple of feet as he crossed the finishing line. But we can see this one again as Andy draws level with Gustafsson. Gustafsson was seeming to be in all kinds of trouble there on that bottom turn, but Andy's really got a good start. But unfortunately, Andy, you're loading up and going home.
Well, the good news for Chris Louis, Peter, is that the way it's worked out, he will get gate 1 in his next outing when he appears in heat number 10 inside geared wrist. That's what the qualifiers do for them, so certainly that will be absolutely perfect for Chris Louis. Well, heat number 7 is next on the agenda. This has been a heat for winners. Nobody goes out from here. Here they will be battling to make places and progress, and it will decide exactly where they finish up when they come against the big boys who come into the action from heat number 11. Ryan Sullivan from Australia is on the inside. Stefan Dano from Sweden will wear the blue helmet colours in gate 2. The Czech Republic rider from King's Lynn, Berhamel Prahel, is in white and goes from gate 3. And on the outside in yellow and black from Hungary, Zoltan Aduyan. Battling away there, Ryan Sullivan on the inside, so impressive first time out. Certainly, the former World Under-21 champion is going to be something to be reckoned with in this one. 14 there, blue helmet colours, Stefan Dano. Rides for Eastbourne in the British League, of course. Here, Swedish flag on his chest.
Well, we'll see what Ryan Sullivan can do in this race. I know Ryan's got a real good sponsor this year, as quite a lot of the lads have, and he's riding this year for John Gillard at Stopford Vehicle Rentals, and he's got a very good sponsorship with him, and he's very, very keen, and he certainly did him proud in that first race.
Well, here we are then, heat number 7. They're playing for places, as they say, in this one. Nobody will be eliminated, but if they come 3rd or 4th, well, they've got a repechage attempt, as you might say, to improve it another time out. Ryan Sullivan on the inside, lifts slightly, but he's there to the apex of the bend first. Stefan Dano in blue, but coming around fast on the outside is Zoltan Aduyan, moves into 2nd place. At the rear, disappointment for Berhamel Prahel, but no such disappointment for out front. Ryan Sullivan is looking good. Dano is going almost from 2nd to last now, but Sullivan out front is out there in front of Aduyan, who's come through, riding round the outside of the first bend, but it's looking good for the Aussie.
Yeah, the track's cutting up a bit, Tony. There's a lot of loose dirt there, and the rider seems to be struggling a bit with it at times, but it is clearing, it will clear, but you can see a door in there. He's very underrated. He's not really raced much in England at all, but on the continental tracks he's very, very good, and he's in 2nd. He's in that qualification spot right at this moment, but there's no way that he's going to catch Ryan Sullivan, the Australian.
Ryan Sullivan looking good. The old dirt deflectors playing their part there, keeping the dirt down as they move into the final lap here. Berhamel Prahel back in 3rd place. Looks to be tumbling towards a repechage, as they might say, as he'll have another 3rd place here. But certainly going to win this is Ryan Sullivan, the Australian, looking very, very good indeed. Ahead of in 2nd place Zoltan Aduyan, and 3rd in the white helmet colours there was Berhamel Prahel, and a disappointment for Stefan Dano, who seemed to go backwards as it went on. But no doubt about the quality of the winner yet again. Ryan Sullivan, 2 rides, 2 wins. The Australian is looking good.
Yeah, and he's doing it from the start as well, Tony. He makes a great start there. We can see the front wheels lifting on that first turn. There on the outside, the rider in white's dropping out of the picture. But just look at Ryan Sullivan there on that inside in the red. He's just got a nice first turn. He's made a beautiful start. He's just hogging that inside. The track is a bit rough round there, but he's coping with it really well. And he's looked across there, and you can see that he's got fresh air all the way around him. And he's just accelerating away. And you know, I think that he's going to be a real threat in this later on in this meeting, and to qualify for the next stage has been marvellous for him in his first Grand Prix.
Well, Zoltan Aduyan will be meeting Billy Hamill and Hans Nielsen, if my calculations are correct, when he moves through. Ryan Sullivan will have the dubious honour of beating the world champion Greg Hancock and Jimmy Nielsen in heat number 11. So you can see how it maps out as we go along with this totally new format, as Ryan Sullivan celebrates 2 heat victories in 2 rides so far. See the evidence that Peter Collins was talking about of the track cutting up there, as we move now to heat number 8. And another Australian will go from the inside gate of the pole position on this one, in Lee Adams, who certainly looked pretty good first time out. Heat's going through thick and fast here, this new format of the Grand Prix. Quite an interesting one too. Number 21 in the blue helmet colours there, Jesper Jensen, who was so impressive. He will go from gate number 2. Gate number 3 coming through now is the Australian Craig Boyce, and on the outside is Tony Kasper from the Czech Republic. There, at the bottom of the captions, you see exactly the positions they go to in their succeeding races. We try to keep you informed as who rides where, as it becomes increasingly competitive. And remember, the top 8 riders from last year's Grand Prix don't come into this event until heat number 11. This is heat number 8. A competitive one, Peter, with Lee Adams and Jesper Jensen, the way they rode in their first race. Could be anybody's race, this one.
Yes, I mean, Lee Adams, again, one of these Australians, they're really dominating the sport right at the moment, and the way he went in that last one, that really confirms that. But again, Jesper Jensen, he rides for Wolverhampton in the Elite League, and he's just getting himself together in that. I know he came late on in the season last year, but at Wolverhampton this year, he's starting to go good, and he's got a long way to go, but he's certainly started getting well up that ladder.
This then, heat number 8. Adams on the inside. Jesper Jensen from Denmark, gate 2 in blue. In white helmet colours, that's Craig Boyce, the former Australian champion. And on the outside there, that man nearest the camera, that's Tony Kasper. Away they go, up go the gates. I don't think the tapes came up too cleanly there. Coming round the outside, Kasper is causing problems. Kasper shoots at the front there, and the chase is on for Lee Adams. Adams may be content to keep second place. Back in third is Craig Boyce. He has an awful lot to do. Boyce wants to improve. Boyce wants to do well, but so do they all here in this heat number 8. Remember, nobody's eliminated from this one, but if they finish third and fourth, well, they got one more attempt to try and keep in the races. Out front, Tony Kasper, and Kasper opening up a gap there ahead of Lee Adams. Back in third place is Craig Boyce. A bit professional this, but certainly the men out front are going fast.
Yeah, you notice, Tony, how they're riding very, very wide. I think the inside is quite rough, and they don't like going down that inside, so they're actually staying out wide to avoid that rough stuff. The riders are getting a bit strung out at the moment, but Kasper, you know, he's ridden this track many, many times, being a local rider, and he's getting a bit long in the tooth now, but he certainly knows his way around this track, and he's just absolutely proving that by going so well in this race.
Long in the tooth, Peter. I think you rode against his dad at one time, but Kasper is leading in this one, and Kasper's doing well. But certainly from that point of view, he takes the checkered flag to the cheers of fans. In second place in red is Lee Adams, who did particularly well, but disappointment for the rest as they move backwards. Sadly for Craig Boyce, and sadly for, well, in this one, Jesper Jensen, they have a little bit to do, but Tony Kasper will be a happy man with his performance in that one, and Tony Kasper takes the plaudits. But they all remain in, of course, at this stage, but it's going to be tough for Craig Boyce and Jesper Jensen in the next outing.
Yeah, we can see the start there, the rider in yellow. Kasper's got a great start. You can see those unconventional number back mud guards that they've got at the moment. They've got the numbers enclosed in there. We can see what's going on there. The rider in blue there is getting into all kinds of problems. He almost runs in the back of Lee Adams there, but by the time he sorted himself out, it was too late. Kasper had just disappeared into the distance. You can see that again from the outside position. There's Kasper making a great start from the outside, but look across there to Lee Adams. Lee Adams is also coming across. But when they get to the first turn, just watch the bikes bucking and rearing. You can see there that Jensen ran right into the back wheel there of Lee Adams, and was very, very lucky that the pair of them didn't actually go down. Poor old Craig Boyce on the outside there, struggling to keep that third place.
Well, certainly the way they battle there, all the riders are showing what they really want to achieve in this Grand Prix series. And remember, in the next 2 races, 2 more riders drop out from each. 4 more riders will depart during the next 2 heats. The action here in the Marquetta Stadium is pretty intense. Well, in the studio, we've got the lads, of course, along with Keith Ewan.
Okay, well, if you think it's exciting watching it on the track, you can see what it's like for people like Billy Hamill, who's biting his nails, I can tell you, and watching it very closely. It's not easy for you because you've got to wait, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the guys I go out against in my next race will have 2 races on me, so it's a whole different ball game. But you know, I'm up to the challenge, so I'm looking forward to it.
What are you looking at? Obviously the start gate, but what parts of the track especially?
Yeah, the whole track. I mean, the track's pretty tricky going into the corners right now, so I've been kind of focusing on the racing lines going in there, especially turn 3, where Armando Castagna threw a chain. So, you know, you got to be a bit clever out there, and obviously a good start would help.
So the butterflies are still there. You ready for it?
They're always there.
Best of luck to you in your first one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for those of you that don't recognise Jonathan Green, he's not Keith Ewan. Now then, a lot of action out there at the moment, and so much to talk about. But first of all, nerve-wracking for the seeded riders. They're all stood on the side of the track, watching this track, what looks to me like it's cutting up quite badly. Sam?
Boy, I tell you, I don't know which way to take it. I mean, you got to rise above it, I guess, and be very positive and thinking that if you can just go out there and make the best start, you know, of the first rounds and get in front and dial in on the track, because the track's chopping up severely. And I'm sure that they're all thinking they just got to get in front and hopefully not have any problems like Amando had with the chain coming off and so forth, you know.
Well, we're talking about the seeded riders, of course. They don't race until Heat 11. These are all the qualifiers that we're seeing at the moment. It's a new format, of course, for the Grand Prix Speedway this year, just to reiterate what's going on here. Kelvin, another problem that we've talked about is the fact that the British League riders will have all been used to riding on soft tyres, and we're on Grand Prix tyres here.
Yeah, exactly. That will give the bike a different feel off the start, for sure. Chaps in England will be used to the bike maybe getting a bit more grip, but I think actually looking at the track, there's plenty of grip out there, so it may not be figuring that much. I think generally right across the board, guys watching and racing will be concerned about conditions, the way the track's cut out.
Now we can take a look back at Marquetta. Live pictures they are, and there we are. We can see the preparations going on now for Heat 9 that's coming up in just a while. Tactics possibly showed up in Heat 8 with Lee Adams getting second place. That means he misses Heat 12 of the Hamill-Nielsen pairing and goes into Heat 11, which is fractionally easier, although Greg Hancock's in it, of course. Do you think tactics are being played at this particular time?
I'd say a little bit early. I think that with track conditions, I think he was quite happy to be in second place. And he didn't push Casper because conditions didn't allow him to, but certainly it may have been in his mind. It's something to think about.
Certainly the rules this year, for me, are a lot more interesting than they've ever been in Speedway. I mean, these really are. You're going to need team management of about 4 persons to work this out as the afternoon goes on. I mean, Sam, a lot for a rider to take in, isn't it?
Well, there's 4 guys that are not in this event anymore. They're going home, and that's hard to swallow when you're in a championship and you want to have a good go at it. So, I mean, this is really difficult, and you got a lot of things to look at.
Well, one of those, of course, was Andy Smith, who we saw go back. He's already packing his bags. Andy Smith is out of there. Louis gone through. We can go back to our commentators now. Peter Collins and Tony Millard for Heat 9.
Well, Sam Ermolenko was saying that 4 guys were already on the way home. At the end of this one, there'll be 2 more, but that man there will be trying not to be one of them. Jason Crump on the inside. We switch cameras to for Hummel Brahel, number 23, the Czech rider. Number 21 there on the outside is Jesper Jensen, the Dane who looked so promising first time out but struggled later on. And Henrik Gustafsson, the enigmatic Swede. We never know what to expect from Henrik Gustafsson as Brahel takes a breather. Gustafsson, Peter Collins alongside me. Can he come good? Will he keep getting or providing nail-biting finishes for us?
Well, he always seems to be the nearly man, doesn't he? I mean, Henrik, the first couple of years of the Grand Prix, he was really a front runner. He was right up there, and you know, I always had him down as an absolutely brilliant rider, and always had him down as World Championship material. But you know, time slipping by for him, and the way he's going, he's going to struggle to stay in the competition.
Heat number 9, away they go from the inside. Crump is left on the post, coming through in blue is Gustafsson. Gustafsson picks it up on the inside. Coming round in white is Hummel Brahel. The challenge is on. The man in yellow and black on the outside is Jesper Jensen. One of the most competitive heats we've had so far, but disappointment for the man in red and the black. Jason Crump, for whom we expected much, has much to do.
Yeah, Gustafsson must have been listening to what I said, because he's made a great start. He's just absolutely flying. He didn't seem quick at all in the first few races, but he seems to have got it together in this one. Well, it really matters, and he seems to be just edging away now from Paul Brahel, who's in second place. Well, like we say, poor old Jason Crump there, he's struggling away. It looks as though he may have come up to third, but...
Wild disappointment for Jesper Jensen back in third as well, because he could be on his way home if it stays like this. Down the home straight they come with a lap to go as the yellow flag goes out with a black cross on it. With the man in blue, Henrik Gustafsson out front. Hummel Brahel is back there in white in second place. They will march on to meet the big guns. But Jason Crump and Jesper Jensen, those 2 men there, look like tumbling out as the checkered flag is out. Jesper Jensen is back in third place. Jason Crump gets 4th, and both of those will be going home, and that is something of a surprise. But the winner there, Henrik Gustafsson, as I said before, so often we've thought he's one of the world's best riders, and so often he's flattered to deceive, but he showed quality there, shooting from the gate, and holding them off. But those two at the bottom of your picture, Jesper Jensen and Jason Crump, are out. And that's a surprise, Peter Collins.
Yes, it is, but that's the way the competition goes. It's a whole new system, and it's going to take some getting used to, but they're certainly getting used to it the hard way. Poor old Crumpy there, he's loading up as well now, but I mean, this really does build to a fever pitch. It's very, very exciting the way it's going, but you see Gustafsson there, he puts his best ride together when it really mattered. Now we can see the start there. Jensen's on the outside, they're riding White Braille, who's also just qualified. He's in the middle of it there, he's really in the thick of it. Now Jason Crump in the red, it looks as though he's got a good first turn line, but he didn't make it at all. But there we go, we can see Gustafsson is out front, but we can see there the rider in White Braille coming in for that second place.
Well, they're moving things along quickly here in the Marketta Stadium. The back being thumped there for Jesper Jensen, but it's certainly disappointment for him, and he'll be licking his wounds. There's Erik Gunnarsson, former world champion, of course. Erik Gunnarsson, the manager for the Swedes, saying, well, bad luck, Jesper. The manager for the Danes, of course, bad luck, Jesper. It was only that much, but, well, that much can mean an awful lot as we wait now for heat number 10. And this is going to be an important one for Chris Louis, of course, who's in this and goes from the inside alongside the German Gerd Riss, Craig Boyce, the Australian, and Stefan Dano. Remember, two of those, as they come out for the pit gate now, will depart us after the next 4 laps. It really is cut and thrust, Peter.
It certainly is, but we've got Chris Louis still in there, which is great news. And you know, Chris is the New England captain, and he's got a full schedule of England matches ahead of us this year, and hope he's going to fly the flag in this one. It's getting very, very tense at the top, that's for sure, but just good to see the England lads doing well, and hope he can stay in.
Well, rider number 16 there in the white helmet colours, that's Craig Boyce, the Australian. Remember, it's make or break for all of the 4 riders here, because if you finish 3rd or 4th in this heat, it's goodbye for the night to Prague, and hopefully, well, they'll be looking ahead to Poking for the next Grand Prix to see if they can do better. The 2-minute klaxon has been sounded by the referee. There's a few problems there for Stefan Dano, the Swede. I think he's going back to change his machinery, but he's looking at that clock, has less than a minute so to do. And he's having to run at the double. I just wonder what the problem is. Here comes some more machinery for Stefan Dano. And, well, I don't know, Peter, how much does it disturb a rider to have to change bikes so late on?
Well, you know, he'll certainly have a favourite bike, and if his favourite one is sort of playing up, I mean, the favourite one will be what he's sorted out from practice, and it means he's going out on his number 2 bike, and that in itself is a psychological disadvantage. But unless he's got 2 absolutely brilliant bikes, then he might be feeling a bit down at this stage. But who knows? He surprised us all in that first race, and he's still in it at this stage. So, you know, anything could happen. He's got nothing to lose.
Well, there's the lineup. That's Chris Louis on the inside in red. Gerd Riss, the German, in blue in gate number 2. Craig Boyce, the former Australian captain, well, current Australian captain, former Australian champion. He goes from gate 3, and on the outside it's Stefan Dano from Sweden, who rides, of course, for Eastbourne in the British League. All bar Gerd Riss in this meeting, or this heat rather, racing the British League. Chris Louis, of course, for Ipswich. Craig Boyce for Poole. Stefan Dano for Eastbourne. And Gerd Riss, well, he has plenty of action in his native Germany, much of it in the south of that country. Not too far away from Prague here, the Marketta Stadium. There's Chris Louis, for whom we have high hopes, of course. Can he make it from the gate? Could be vitally important. Track cutting up. Starting marcher walks away. Away they go. Chris Louis did slide him. Holds on. Cutting him tight there with the blue helmet colours is Gerd Riss. Can Chris Louis pick it up? Coming round the outside, the white helmet colours there is Craig Boyce. But Louis at the moment is in a vital 2nd place. The battle is joined. Louis is coming through. Brilliant ride by Chris Louis to pick it up down the back straight there. Oh, down this straight rather. Chris Louis is in front, coming through into 2nd place now. Boyce is having the battle with Gerd Riss, but it's looking good at the moment for Louis.
Yes, it is. You saw what he did there. He rode that inside line when the others were riding out wide. They were riding like they were in an armchair, and he rode the real brave line round the inside across those bumps and just got that edge to take that lead. But he's just pulling away from the rest now. But Riss there in 2nd place is coming under a lot of pressure from Craig Boyce, who's now trying that big run around the outside. He's now chopping back to the inside.
Boyce can still do it as Riss locks up, and Riss is still in that 2nd place. No doubt about Chris Louis up front. Boyce goes wide, coming through fast there in the yellow and black helmet colours. What a ride by Stefan Dano. Where he's picked up the dirt from, I don't know. Dano on full throttle to thrill you, to move into second place, and it means that Riss and Boyce will be out of this at heat number 10. That must be the ride of the night, certainly by Chris Louis out front. But what about Stefan Dano in second place, who came from absolutely nowhere? He caught them by surprise, and it's Dano and Louis who march on, Boyce and Riss who disappear.
Well, what a fantastic result there for Chris Louis. He's going to sail through now to that next round, but he really did well to make that after making such a... Well, he missed the start, but he made it after the first lap. But we can see now, see Dano there on the outside. Dano, he's on that second bike, but he seems to get the thing sorted out. But as we see them race into the first corner, Chris Louis still isn't in the picture here. There we've got Gerd Riss in the middle. He's riding that inside, but you can see Riss's back wheel suddenly come into the picture there. Louis there comes into the picture on the inside. Riss now's thinking that there's a big challenge coming from the outside, which it is from Craig Boyce. But already you can see Chris Louis, he's already decided he's going to take that inside line. He's taking those bumps there where Castagna fell earlier. He's going across those bumps, but just look at him there. He's got that little bit of extra grip on the inside just to pull ahead there from Riss. But you can see Dano squeezes through there. Boyce didn't know he was coming, and then shoots straight round the outside of Gerd Riss, completely frightens him. And what a ride there from Dano as well.
What a ride from Dano, what a ride from Louis. Coming up the main event, the 8 big guns come in. We'll have news shortly of who's out and who's in. More off the break.
Sunday. Win or draw, and the Premiership belongs to Newcastle. Lose, and it's all over. Will Harlequins play the final joker?
You'll have to go a long way to see better than that.
Or will Newcastle be crowned champions? Ford Rugby Union, Sunday at 12, live on Sky Sports 2.
You know why you're here, so where were you?
I told you.
You don't want to change your story?
No, I took a TVR Cerbra.
Ran a Nissan Skyline and a Toyota Supra.
That's right.
And you spun the TVR.
Yes!
There's no record of a missing TVR or a crash with a Skyline or a Supra that night.
Do you want to change your story?
Looking for a difference? Try something new. Wella brings you experienced shampoos and conditioners with liquid hair, which rebuilds and strengthens for more body and more shine. Experience from Wella. Get a free conditioner when you buy a special Experience shampoo pack, plus a chance to instantly win a copy of Friends on video, or the use of an apartment in New York.
Can love endure? Sure. That's why L'Oreal created new Color Endure Stay On Mascara. It doesn't smudge, it doesn't flake.
Of course, it's L'Oreal.
But the real surprise is that a mascara that gives beautiful lashes for up to 24 hours just washes off with soap and water. No more smudging or flaking.
And no more compromising.
New L'Oreal Color Endure Stay On Mascara.
Because I'm worth it.
Heat 11 is being prepared in pit lane at Markéta Stadium, just outside Prague in the Czech Republic. And we can go straight back now to Peter Collins and Tony Millard.
Well, there's Lee Adams, of course, who's had to come through the qualifiers, the Australian, but who's done it in style. He got here through earning second place in heat number 8. In the white helmet colours there is fellow Australian Ron Sullivan. And Looking at what we've had so far, eliminated after the heat so far, you see the list there. Jason Crump, Castagna, Protasevich, Boyce, Smith, Jensen, Riss and Carlson. I can tell you that Riss and Jensen each get 4 Grand Prix points. Boyce and Crump 3 apiece. Smith and Protasevich 2 points apiece. Castagna and Carlson just 1. Those are the points gained in the Grand Prix series. Still to come, of course, for the men already eliminated. But the action is building up here because through to the main event are those riders who we're going to see shortly. Sullivan and Adams, the 2 Australians, are in the very first heat. Kasper from the Czech Republic, Zoltán Adoyan, the veteran Hungarian, Henrik Gustafsson, who so often has flattered to deceive but comes through here, alongside Stefan Dano, the fellow Swede. Chris Louis from Britain is the one we're following, of course, and Bahama Brahel from the Czech Republic. But now, as Keith said, heat number 11, absolutely vital. World champion Greg Hancock makes his first appearance of the night, as does Jimmy Nilsson, that man in blue from Sweden there. Those are the two, Hancock on the right in red, Nilsson in blue, and they're joining men who've already had plenty of action. In yellow and black there is Lee Adams, the Australian, number 15 on his back. And in the white helmet colours, Ron Sullivan. The floodlights already starting to shine here as the sun goes down over the city of Prague and the lights shine on the Marketa Stadium. And I wonder, Peter Collins alongside me, just how much difference it's going to make that Sullivan and Adams have already had plenty of action.
Well, Tony, this is the big test, isn't it? We talked about nerves earlier on, and I'm sure Greg Hancock's really twitching right now. It's going to be difficult because he probably feels that he's a disadvantage. And the same with Jimmy Nilsson. They've probably noticed that the track's got a bit rough and it's a bit difficult round that inside, so they're going to be a bit unfamiliar with that track, but they're going to have to go out there and race absolutely full gas without having actually the same practice as the other lads have had.
Heat number 11 then, Greg Hancock on the inside of Jimmy Nilsson in blue. Those two on the inside have not yet ridden, as Peter was talking about, but there in the white helmet colours is Ron Sullivan, who's been positively flying, and on the outside is Lee Adams. And the two Aussies, well, could they spring a surprise here with their track experience? This, I think, will be a significant heat for the whole Grand Prix series, Peter, because it could throw some light on whether or not the format will work, because the favourites, that's the 8 seeded riders, may not like it.
That's right, you know, the grader's been out and graded that inside, but, you know, Greg's got to cross that inside bit that's very, very rough and a bit grippy and patchy, and if he gets it wrong, it could turn out quite nasty. So I just hope that everything's going to work out well for him. But we can see that dirt deflector there. It's quite a neat little job, and it seems to do exactly what it's meant to do.
Well, heat number 11, the first of the big guns are out here, and they don't come much bigger than that man on the inside. Greg Hancock, the world champion, was now riding for Coventry. So is his teammate Billy Hamill. Away they go on the inside. Hancock's left. The blue helmet colours Jimmy Nilsson picks it up on the outside, coming round with some speed is Ron Sullivan in white to pick up second place. Tailed off at the rear is Lee Adams. Ron Sullivan is certainly looking good here now, but out front in blue is Jimmy Nilsson, taking advantage of practice yesterday. Nilsson, the Swede, is in front, seems to have something in hand, has picked the right gear, the right position on the track, and now the right placing out front.
Yeah, now that is a surprise because Jimmy struggled a bit in England this year, and he's had a mystery illness for the last week or so, but he seems to have just come out now and he's absolutely flying. He always seems to be able to do well in these big meetings, as he did last year, finishing in the top 8, but there seems to be some debris flying around on the track. It looks as though the fans have thrown some papers and things over.
Yes, but look who's back in third place, world champion Greg Hancock. Remember, twice running, if you're third or fourth, you're out. Could it be a big surprise here for that man in third place in the red helmet colours there? But out front, they're going well. Jimmy Nilsson is ahead of Ron Sullivan. Nilsson of Sweden, Sullivan of Australia, and they certainly have something in hand here as they take the checkered flag. Greg Hancock is back in third place. Back at the rear is Lee Adams. They're going to have to come through and fight again to stay in the Grand Prix. But real quality from that man, Jimmy Nilsson, who takes the checkered flag. And now we can go down to trackside, and I think a very important guest is alongside Jonathan Green.
Well, I'm here with Chris Louis, and obviously in a better frame of mind after 2 great wins in the last 2 races. Well done.
Yeah, it's settled me down a little bit, but obviously some very tough races to come. But quite happy my starts have improved since that first one, and obviously I've now got a bit of track knowledge. So, you know, I hope to take in a bit of an advantage, really, in them early heats in the second half anyway.
You got that inside gate for your last 2 races. Is that going to be the key tonight?
It's been the key to me so far, but it hasn't necessarily worked all the way through the programme, so I'm not that worried about going off gate 3 in my next one. You know, I mean, if it had been working good for everybody, fair enough, but I'm quite happy to go off gate 3.
Well, you're going forward now. How do you feel? Do you feel confident that you can make a good couple of points in this Grand Prix?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the nerve-wracking bit really is to get over the first hurdle, you know, and we've done that now, and with 2 wins in my last 2, it's given me a bit more confidence, and I'm going for it.
Talking to people like Billy Hamill and a few of the others, they're a bit worried because they haven't seen the track. Do you think you will have an advantage going into the next few races?
The track's cut up a lot since yesterday in practice. It was quite good yesterday, but it's a bit rutty and bumpy today, to be honest. So, you know, knowing where they are and how big they are and how bad they are, hopefully it's a bit like having a map. I've got a map and they haven't, hopefully.
Well, the fans in Britain will be willing you on, so best of luck in the next one.
Cheers.
Nice to see a smile on the face of Chris Louis there as we move on to heat number 12, and certainly the England captain is optimistic, but so too have these men to be in heat number 12. Billy Hamill, the rider in the blue helmet colours, Hans Nielsen there, the oldest rider in the field, of course. In the red helmet colours there's Billy Hamill. He was the world champion a couple of years ago, the Grand Prix winner. He goes from gate 1. Next to him, the Professor Hans Nielsen being gate 2. That man on the outside in the yellow and black, something of a surprise packet from Hungary, Zoltan Adoyan, and Tony Kasper, who certainly flew last time out, is going in the white helmet colours. But Hans Nielsen will need all his experience to hold off these eager younger men.
Well, Billy Hamill's sporting a new streamlined haircut, probably hoping he's going to go that little bit quicker, but I just hope he's not lost any of his strength, because he's got Hans Nielsen on the outside of him, and of course we've got that local man, Kasper, out there as well, so, you know, I'm sure he's feeling pretty nervous at the moment, but I know Billy's been going great in England. He's had, actually, the last couple of weeks, he's had a 21-point maximum riding for his club Coventry, so he's on form as well.
Peter, what about a bet for the series? Can Hans Nielsen come back? Because now Hans Nielsen's certainly entering the veteran stage. I mean, can he come back and win yet another world title?
Well, I think he can. We know he can win Grand Prix, there's no doubt about that, but what Hans needs more than anything at his age is consistency. We know he can do it on the night, he'll have his moments, he'll win the big ones, but, you know, he's got to do it. He's got to win at least 4 Grand Prix through the year, and, you know, that's perhaps a tall order for a man that seems to have a lot of things in life now off the track as well as on it.
Well, certainly some talented riders in this heat number 12. None more so, of course, than that man Hans Nielsen, number 7. He's going from gate number 2. Billy Hamill, the world champion a couple of years ago, he's on the inside. Gate 3, Tony Kasper from the Czech Republic. And on the outside, from not too far away, Hungary, Zoltan Adoyan. Marty Marshall insists on getting them into line, of course. The night skies close in. Away they go. Nielsen gets there first. So often we've said that over the years, but the pressure being put on the outside and inside. Going around the outside is Kasper. Hans Nielsen will take it wide. Nielsen leads all the way. Back in 3rd place, Billy Hamill. Kasper will put Nielsen under pressure, but the class is telling there for the Great Dane.
Yeah, you can see Nielsen, he's riding that inside track, he's going over all those bumps absolutely beautifully. He is so determined, he's absolutely flying. I know I've just heard recently that he's done very few meetings this year. The tracks have been wet, there's been a lot of meetings cancelled. He's not racing in a lot of the big leagues this year, so he's not done many meetings at all, so he's perhaps a little bit rusty, but he's not showing it in this one.
Rearing a bit there, but certainly reading the track and picking the line. But that man there, Billy Hamill, has a lot to do back in 3rd place, like his compatriot Greg Hancock did a heat ago. Can Hamill pick it up inside Tony Kasper in white? Kasper in white is being put under pressure now. Hamill coming round the outside. Hans Nielsen down the front. Oh, he's moved into 2nd place as Billy Hamill. This could be absolutely vital now, because Hans Nielsen is going all the way. Kasper's pressure won't tell. Nielsen wins it. Ahead of him, 2nd place in red, Billy Hamill. Back in 3rd place there was Kasper, who did well. Zoltan Adoyan was at the back, but Hans Nielsen, we talked about it before the race, and like good wine, he matures with age.
Well, that was his first ride tonight, and he makes an absolute corker, doesn't he? What a start there. He's really determined, you can see that. I mean, that's the typical Hans Nielsen, the professor. He races into that first turn. He sees off the rider in white there, Tony Kasper. But you can see Hans, he's not really worrying about those bumps and things. He's just riding it as fast as he can. He's taking it absolutely brilliantly. But you can see Hamill on the inside, but Hamill had got no answer whatsoever there to Nielsen, but Hamill just shoots round the outside there of Tony Kasper, but there's no way he was going to catch Nielsen. you don't give Nielsen half a chance like that and expect to pass him later on in the race.
One thing we know is that Hans Nielsen will now meet Ron Sullivan in his next race, and that could be quite a battle the way Ron Sullivan is going. But as we move on, the class continues. Coming up now is heat number 13, and that man Thomas Golob will certainly be popular here. The many Poles in the crowd believe that Thomas Golob is the man to win the Grand Prix series this year. The challenge will come from Brian Anderson, winner of the British Grand Prix last year, and of course a star rider with Coventry, tipped by many to be the successor to Hans Nielsen. Stefan Dano in the yellow helmet colours from Sweden, and Henrik Gustafsson from Sweden's in white. This should be competitive. Truly class riders, all four here in heat number 13. That is Thomas Golob, and listen to the noise from the thousands of cheering Poles.
Well, you know, Tony, Thomas Golob's riding in the Elite League in Britain at the moment. He's riding for Ipswich, along with Chris Louis and Tony Rickardsson, and that team is absolutely unbeatable at the moment. And one of the main men who's got a lot to say for that is that man, Thomas Golob. He's absolutely flying in Britain. He scored 17 points the other night, but he seems to have a problem here with his bike. He's changing bikes, but he's been flying in England, and I'm sure that experience is going to do him a lot of good in this Grand Prix, and it just might be the thing that he needs to make him world champion.
Mechanical problems, Peter. I mean, it's Thomas Golob's first ride of the night. Really, should his machinery go wrong at this stage?
Well, I know he's got that many bikes and machines. I think he's got already about 5 bikes in England. He's sponsored up to the hilt by everybody, and he's got so much gear that I'm sure that the bikes that he's got here are very, very good. I'm sure his second bike is probably as good as his first.
As he digs for victory there, though, the starting positions are becoming very rutted, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, but I think the inside's still pretty good at the moment. There's still a lot of dirt down there. It's off the racing line, so that dirt doesn't get moved about. Gate 4, gate position is probably a bit rutty and a bit slick. Gate 3's not that brilliant, but if anybody's going to make a good start off the inside there, it's Golob.
Golob is on the inside. Brian Anderson, gate 2. Henrik Gustafsson, gate 3. Stefan Dano on the outside. They're racing for places, as you might say, as the heats go on. Darkness descends. But the Speedway gets brighter and brighter. Away from the inside, Thomas Golob. Golob hunts into the bend, but coming round on the outside there and doing well in white is Henrik Gustafsson. Gustafsson seems to have got it right at last. He's headed away. Stefan Dano in his wake. Golob is back in 3rd place, tailed off at the rear there in blue now. That is Brian Anderson, and for many people this is just about the reverse order from what it could have been. And this is quite a surprise if Thomas Golob is going to have to battle for honour, battle for glory and stay in this. But look at Gustafsson.
Yeah, I think this is what we were talking about the other riders having that practice, those first 2 or 3 rides before the big guns come out, and the big guns are here struggling at the back, and I think that's just proving that that point is quite applicable at the moment.
Getting used to the track and doing well, but the men who haven't got used to the track are having a battle so far. This is the 3rd heat we've seen with the big boys in. They've all tended to struggle, but this man here, Henrik Gustafsson in the white helmet colours from Sweden, pursued by his compatriot Stefan Dano, and they're going to march on certainly, and the battle's going to be joined for Golob and Anderson. But out front, Gustafsson is going to surely win this. Yes, he is, ahead of Stefan Dano. Back in 3rd place here now is Thomas Golob in the red helmet colours, and tailed off at the back. Real disappointment for Brian Anderson, and more and more important it is seeming the early track experience of the lesser lights against the big guns here. And Henrik Gustafsson takes the checkered flag and deserves it.
Well, that was a Sweden 1-2 there, wasn't it? But we can see here again on the gate, that's the favourite that we thought was going to do, or I thought was going to do perhaps a bit better than that, and that was Thomas Golob. You can see Brian Anderson on the outside. They both look a little bit cautious going into that first turn, but you can already see there that the rider in white there, Gustafsson, was in front. You can see this start again. The 2 Swedes are actually on the outside, and look, they both make that start. They both come right across the front there of Golob, and they come across the front of Anderson. Golob seems to lift there in that place, but 3rd place, you know, he needs to improve on that, but I'm sure he can now he's got the feel of the track.
Well, certainly now they've started to know where they're going, and they know how this is going to map out, and it's still providing some interesting confrontations in the races to come. And Thomas Golob will have to think a lot before he goes out for his next race. Chats with his Massive support in the pits, 3 bikes and, well, several times as many people in support. Heat 14 will feature Tony Rickardsson, Mark Laram, Chris Louis and Bahama Brahel. And this is going to be competitive, and again we'll be cheering on the Brits, Mark Laram and Chris Louis, of course, arguably, well, certainly for my money, 1 and 2 in Britain. And in last year's Grand Prix, certainly both really, well, Laram finishing above Louis in the finishing order. Heat 14. Remember, there are 24 heats, and they're all battling for places in what will first of all be 2 semi-finals, which will be heats 21 and 22. Then what was the old B final for the riders seeking places 5 to 8 will go in heat 23. The grand finale, the big final, that'll be heat 24. But this is heat 14. Tony Rickardsson, the last individual world champion, goes from the inside. Mark Laram from Britain, gate 2. Chris Louis, the Great Britain captain, goes from gate 3. Bahama Brahel from King's Lynn in England, although banned for a month now, but not riding on Wednesday night. He's from the Czech Republic, goes on the outside.
Yes, Tony, we know that Mark Laram is riding with, well, it's a dislocated collarbone. He's torn up the end of his collarbone off his shoulder. He had a horrendous crash at Wolverhampton on Monday night. I know he's been to a lot of specialists up and down the country in England this week trying to get himself fit for this meeting. So he is riding with some sort of an injury here, and whether that's going to detune him slightly, I don't know, because we know what Mark's capable, as we saw in that last Grand Prix last year in Boyens in Denmark.
As a seeded rider though, Peter, if he finishes last in 2 races, he still gets 5 Grand Prix points, so the temptation is to ride anyway, isn't it?
That's right, but you know, knowing Mark, he wants to go out there and win. He's had a bit of a lean season up to now in the league, but he's just getting himself sorted out, and we'll see if he can cope with this collarbone injury.
I think I might take Tony Rickardsson on the inside, the Swede with flair, of course, who rides now back in the British Elite League for Ipswich, as does Thomas Gollop and Chris Louis. They've certainly got 3 world stars there at Vauxhall Heath. But now on the inside is Rickardsson. Going from gate 2 is Mark Moran. Gate 3 in white helmet colours is Chris Louis there. On the outside, yellow and black, Bahama Brahel, away they go. And on the inside of the red helmet colours, Rickardsson leads them to the apex of the bend. The white helmet colours is Louis chasing him round. Tucking up on the inside in blue is Mark Moran. But 1 and 2 at the moment is Louis in white, Rickardsson in red, Ipswich 1 and 2, and Mark Laram disappointing back in 4th place in blue and probably suffering from that shoulder injury.
Yeah, I think so. He was round that inside, and we know it's a bit bumpy there, and of course when you're carrying an injury like that, it's very, very difficult. But just look at Chris Louis there. Chris made a fabulous first lap. He's pulling away, and that's just what he needs. I mean, it's great to see Chris flying the flag, but we'd like to see Mark up there as well.
Well, Chris Louis in the white helmet colours is now out front. Tony Rickardsson from Sweden is in gate 2. In gate 3, well, they're struggling a little bit at the back with Bahama Brahel, and now coming through into 3rd place, or trying to do so. Yes, he's made it there. It's Mark Laram, and certainly he needs to battle here. Can Laram hold it in 3rd place? He's going to now mount a challenge up front. He's going to battle, but there in yellow and black there, Brahel, well, let's see how it finishes, because coming down here and in the white helmet colours with time to look back, taking that is Chris Louis. What a performance. In 2nd place in red is Tony Rickardsson. Back in 3rd place is Mark Moran. And that's how it finished. No doubt about the winner. And isn't he going well?
Well, I don't want to speak too soon, but could be Chris's night, the way he's going. That's heat 14 and a great win there for Chris. Now we can see the start here. Now that's Mark Laram. You can see Mark on the outside. He's already looking across.
Well, that's how it went, but Chris Louis from then on took it as he pleased, and we'll be sorting out the sheep from the goats after the break.
And now, a hanging with no drama whatsoever. Polycell No Lumps wallpaper adhesive. It only takes 2 ticks.
Start with Gillette for Women and be ready for anything. Ready to begin? Gillette for Women. Are you ready to feel soft, feel smooth, feel beautiful? Gillette for women. Are you ready?
Well, what a brilliant Grand Prix Speedway meeting so far, and I think we're enjoying this in the studio here, aren't we? The new format really has set the whole place alight. We've all been working away like mathematicians in here trying to get it sorted out. Sam, your observations at this point in the meeting?
Definitely the guys that have been on the track in the first round, it's favoring them. Chris is doing well. I mean, Hanka and Dano, they've all done what they had to do is to take full advantage of the racetrack. What Chris Louis said about having a map of the track, well, it's just proven it.
3 wins now, Kelvin. Chris Louis and Peter Collins did actually venture by saying that perhaps it's his night. What do you think?
Well, he's looking great, you know, 3 wins on the trot. He's doing it the hard way, started right at the beginning. He certainly must be feeling much more confident than he was at the beginning of the meeting. And he's fast, you know, he came from nowhere and passed Tony Rickardsson then. So I would think he probably feels, you know, quite confident that he can put a good result together tonight.
And Hans Nielsen, though, first out in Heat 12. I mean, that has got to really look bad for the rest of the guys. He came out of there as if he'd been out there all night riding, didn't he? Hans Nielsen came out so quick.
Yeah, he made a blinder of a start, and I think he stamped his authority on the meeting from the word go. But Hans is like that. But I think that he will obviously be a threat throughout the meeting. But I think that Greg may feel a little bit hard done by from his first ride.
Well, funny you should say that, because we can cross right now back to Checo and speak to Greg Hancock, who's with Jonathan Green.
Well, the world champion Greg Hancock finding out the hard way just how tough this new format is. A third, but that puts you on the inside lane for your next heat.
Yeah, the way it works, if I would have won the heat, I would have been on the inside, and now I got third, I'm on the inside again. But it's quite difficult just standing there watching and then going out and not really knowing what's going to happen with the track. But I made a few adjustments now, and I just got to go out there and pull it back.
What happened at the start of your race? Because you didn't get a good start, did you?
Oh, no, down in gate 1, it's quite, the ruts are very deep, and it was just kind of a gamble. I just did the old eeny, meeny, miny mode of take what's what I wanted, and it wasn't the one. So this time I got to try and find something a little bit better and get to that first corner first.
All right, we'll see you in the next heat then. Thanks a lot.
Got it.
Well, Greg Hancock, we did actually deliberate in the studio here whether he had a problem at the start, and they were a bit quick for him, didn't we? Kelv?
Well, I thought, and Sam thought the same. We felt that there was no pause between the green light coming on the tapes going up. It looked like 3 of the guys weren't ready. But with the interview there, Greg hasn't mentioned it, so he must have been happy with the start.
Obviously no great problems. As far as this meeting's going now, I mean, this is where it all really starts to come together, isn't it? I mean, we're getting towards the end of these heats in the main event. What sort of pattern are we picking up here? What's happening out on the track there? Where are the advantages coming from?
Well, I think personally that there's 2 ways of approaching this meeting. Is you got to be very positive. Hans Nielsen showed the other side of it. He came out there knowing, watching, made the best of it, won his start. Guys like Tony Rickardsson tried to get out of gate 1 thinking that was a favorite gate, but a guy like Chris Louis that had the experience of the racetrack took advantage of it.
Well, next heat is coming up very soon, heat 15. They're preparing themselves now out on track. You saw Zoltan Azorjan go out there a moment ago. Greg Hancock gets another chance to get his gating a bit better. We're waiting for him to come around to the tapes now. Thomas Golub's out there as well. He was struggling. He was out in heat 13 and struggled like mad right back there in 3rd place. So Golub, his opening ride of the evening didn't go at all well. So as they line up then for heat 15, we can go back to our circuit commentators, Peter Collins and Tony Millard.
Yes, we're still waiting for one rider on the outside. There he comes. That is Bohumil Brahel, the local rider from the Czech Republic, who could be a surprise packet in this one. But remember, from heat 15, that's this one, and heat 16, the next one. The last 2 riders will say goodbye to the Republic, or to the Czech Republic, for another year, and they will be out of the meeting. In blue there is Thomas Golub, number 3, of course, the number he'll be wearing all throughout the series. And, well, we know that Golub and Hancock are 2 of the best riders in the world. Golub number 3, Hancock number 1 from last year. And if the pattern continues where the riders used to the track do well, well, they could both go. But remember, Golub and Hancock have now had 1 ride. This is going to be tough for them, Peter.
Yes, it is. Again, Hancock's on that gate 1 position, and he's got to cross that uneven bit on the first turn. But this is going to be the test of a true world champion, and we can see whether Greg's going to cope with that.
Well, I know that Greg Hancock has the resolve, and certainly the chat with Jonathan Green, he seemed cheerful enough, optimistic enough, And let's wonder whether the world champion can come out of this Grand Prix still on top of the pile. On the outside there is Bahumel Brahel. Man in the white just inside him, Zoltan Adoyan from Hungary. Hancock on the inside, Golov gate 3. Get the tapes go up very, very quickly indeed there. Held back a little bit more. The two bunch up on the inside. The man in blue coming through there is Thomas Golov. Hancock is in second place. Coming round on the outside, Zoltan Adoyan goes by Hancock as if he's standing still. Hancock will have to battle back. Tailed off at the rear is Brahel, but there's a battle in second place, and Golov out front has it all his own way, but Hancock is going to have to battle. Hancock at the moment is going out at the first attempt. This is a shock of the highest order.
Yes, it is. I know we talked about Adorian before the meeting started, and I said that on these continental tracks he is very, very good, and he's proving in this one that he's ahead of the world champion, and Greg's really got his work cut out to try and pass him now, and it's not looking very good for Hancock.
Well, we knew the format was going to be a tester, that we knew the way it panned out, but look, Hancock has battled back. Hancock isn't going to be done easily with a lap to go. Greg Hancock's taking the inside line. The Hungarian is picking up the grip. Hancock will have to come back again. No doubt about the man out front. That's Thomas Golov. He's got that sewn up, but I don't think Hancock could do it. There's work to do. Hancock, can he come through? No, Hancock tumbles out. Zoltan Adoyan stays on, and the world champion is out of the first Grand Prix after 2 rides. The fans in the stadium here come alive because Thomas Golov, the Polish favourite, and there must be at least 5,000 Poles here cheering him on. You can hear the noise, you can see how cheerful they are, because really Greg Hancock and Bahumel Brahel have tumbled out. But look at this, the Polish fans have gone mad. Perhaps they think this is the start of greater things for Thomas Golov, as Greg Hancock certainly licks his wounds in the pits. But down in the pits, we can catch up with Mark Laram, who's with Jonathan Green.
Well, a sensational race for Mark Laram there, really pushing very hard. You're obviously in a lot of pain. How did it go?
Yeah, I'm so strapped up that I can't really move very good, you know. But yeah, I give it all I got, and I managed to sort of scavenge a point from that one. You know, it's hard going, but I just got to keep going to my best.
You've obviously got another bite at it. Do you think you can pull it off in the next one?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a funny old system, this. I mean, we're riding against guys who've been riding all night then, and you have to wait around and that. But yeah, I was glad to get the first one over with, really.
Well, hope you can hold up for the next one. Best of luck to you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, the action continues thick and fast here. It's been quite a battle, and we can see Thomas Golov there, just how he did it. And really, at the battle at the back, there was Adoyan on the outside of Hancock, and the Hungarian certainly was the master of the American at that point.
Yes, he was. Poor old Greg Hancock there, the current world champion. All he's doing is taking that dirt from Adorian there, old Zolty from Hungary, and there's the man himself.
Well, disappointment for Greg Hancock, but he's a true sport in the background. Billy Hamill, his compatriot from the United States of America. But Mark Laram is out in this one in the blue helmet colours, and it's certainly going to be tough for the Brit. We heard his description of his injury there, and for my money, Peter Collins, I think Mark Laram will be just happy to come back from the Czech Republic in one piece, perhaps concentrate on the next Grand Prix, because he'll pocket 5 or 6 points regardless here.
Yes, I think so. It's really bad to have an injury so close to the Grand Prix. I mean, it's only 5 days, and you know, it's absolutely nothing to expect to try and ride with such an injury, and he's really struggling with it.
This is heat 16. Tony Kasper's on the inside of Mark Laram. Lee Adams, the Australian, goes from gate 3. Brian Anderson goes from the outside. The Dane fancied by many to be a Grand Prix champion of the not too distant future. But remember, the crucial point here is that 2 men will go out of the Grand Prix in this heat. Those that finish 3rd and 4th in heat 16 will disappear. The first 2 will march on, and they'll be desperately close to the semi-finals. Already, remember, we lost Greg Hancock and Bahumel Brahel in the last heat. Earlier, we'd lost 8 more riders in the early stages. 10 have gone. It'll be 12 after this one. And remember, there are 24 in total. 4 more have yet to depart before we get to those semi-finals. This is heat 16. The outside, Brian Anderson. Just inside him in the white helmet colour there, the Australian Lee Adams. Coming up to tapes, Mark Laram carrying that injury that we heard him talking about. He's in gate 2. On the inside is Tony Kasper, the Czech Republic favourite. Ridden in Britain, loaded Eastbourne at one stage, rode for Bradford, rode for several other clubs. This is heat 16. They They look across towards the magnets. Up they go, and the tapes are up quickly as on the inside. Casper is quick. Coming across in white is Lee Adams on the inside. In red, Casper holding up, but coming round there in white. And that is a great performance by Adams. But look who's motoring through. Courageous effort from Mark Laram. Can he make second place? He's doing well.
Yes, he is. He's got the outside run. We know Mark loves to ride on the outside. He's riding through the paint barrier. He's out in that dirt, and he's just going to have enough speed, possibly. No, the door was shut on him there completely by Casper. Casper knows this track well.
While out front, the man in white, with the white helmet colours, Lee Adams, has had plenty of rides already. In second place is Casper. In third is Ram. Tailed off at the rear is Brian Anderson, for whom it's been a desperately disappointing night. And for my money now, it looks as if there's too much for Mark Ram to do, and the front two will surely go through here. In white, there is Lee Adams. Looking back, with time to look back, is Tony Casper in red as they go into the final lap with the Ram trailing in third place. Back at the rear in white there is not in yellow and black rather, is Brian Anderson. Gross disappointment for him. Mark the Ram in blue, but the front two, are they going to take this with some ease in the end, with Lee Adams taking the checkered flag ahead of Tony Casper, and that means that Mark the Ram and Brian Anderson, two of last year's top 8, disappear at this stage and join the also-rans. It is an interesting format, Peter.
Yes, it is. Poor old Mark's on his way back to the dressing room. But again, it just shows you when the chips are down, you get riders that can just pop out the start there, and Lee Adams has done just that. Sponsored by Owen Brothers and along with Mark Lorham. But we can see this one again. There's Mark in the blue. He lifts slightly on the gate. He knows he's not strong enough on the shoulders, but he has a very, very brave first bend. You can see the rider on the outside. Brian Anderson has gone wide, but Mark is out there. He likes that dirt, and there we can see in the centre of the picture Lee Adams. He's following that grip. Now the dirt there that was quite rough has begun to move out to the outside, so those bumps have disappeared quite a bit, so the riders have just got riding round that inside again now, but it's a very brave effort from Mark.
Well, plenty of activity here as the action hots up. It's a marvellous Speedway meeting. It's an interesting format. I just wonder whether the way it's panning out, there'll be some criticism among the leading riders, Peter, afterwards, because well, there we see a near exhausted Mark Ram. What an effort he put in, and let's hope he's got better times to come in later Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, we've already seen Greg Hancock become a casualty of the system, and now Mark there, we can see him getting the door closed on him. He again, he's actually become a victim of the system, and the system's new. I mean, the system's exciting, it's new, it's action all the way through, and to be honest, it is going to take some getting used to, but I think when the riders possibly get dialed into it, we might find that you know, they begin to accept it. But I think one of the things that they are against, and that is going out so late in the meeting after the others have already done 2 or 3 races.
3 Swedes and an American in this one. Jimmy Nielsen on the inside of Henrik Gustafsson, both from Sweden. Former world champion, Grand Prix champion Billy Hamill goes from gate 3. Tony Rickardsson, the last individual world champion, also from Sweden, of course, as they outnumber the American 3-1. He goes from the outside. All of these riders are racing for places. Remember, the last 2, that's those that come in 3rd and 4th in this one, will have another chance, and if they come 3rd and 4th in that, they tumble out. But they're now racing for places as they battle towards those semi-finals. In the red helmet colours, their rider number 8 is Jimmy Nielsen. He goes from the inside. In blue, it's Henrik Gustafsson, both from Sweden, of course. Billy Hamill, the white helmet colours, as we pan across there just behind the starting marshal. He goes from gate number 3. And on the outside, in yellow and black, to his right is Tony Rickardsson. Star quality abounds in this heat number 17. Starting marshal will start to get impatient. He can't get them up there. Big crowd behind them waits in anticipation. Many poles, of course, come across the border to Prague, here to the Marketa Stadium for this one. Way up goes the tapes there. They slam the top, and on the inside in the red helmet colours there is Jimmy Nielsen. Yellow on the outside coming round Tony Rickardsson. Sweden 1 and 2. Back at the rear, Billy Hamill again. Another shot coming up here as the top riders tumble out in this format. Coming through, 1 and 2 down. The red helmet colours Nielsen. Yellow helmet colours is Rickardsson. Gustafsson battles. Hamill comes through into 3rd. But this looks like 2 races, Peter.
Yes, it does. We've got the 2 at the back there. Billy Hamill's in there as well at the back, struggling for that 3rd place. But again, look at the rider in red, Jimmy Nielsen. Again, he's risen to the occasion. He is really going well. He's riding a GM machine. I would say that's about 50-50 these days with the GMs and the Jawas. Half on the GMs, half on the Jawas. but Nielsen there really riding a real quick line. And well, look at the rider in yellow there, Rickardsson. He's going to take him.
Rickardsson goes around the outside, as Peter said. Jimmy Nielsen was riding a tight line, but Rickardsson using all the track and making pace and picking up the grip there. And Tony Rickardsson seems to know what he's doing, and Jimmy Nielsen will have to come back. But Hamill and Gustafsson will have to have another go. And certainly from their point of view there, it's Tony Rickardsson from Sweden who wins it. He looks back to his teammate and partner, as you might say, Jimmy Nielsen, but certainly Rickardsson will be happy with that one. What a fine effort it was. Billy Hamill finished third and Henrik Gustafsson in fourth place.
Yeah, we can see this there. Again, Jimmy Nielsen in the red helmet. What a gorgeous start he's made. He rides that inside line. He probably thinks he's riding at his league club here, Swindon, the way he's going, but he really has made a nice first corner. He's just pushed that rider, Tony Rickardsson, just that little bit wider than he really wants to be. Made enough space for himself, but look at Rickardsson. There's not enough room for him, was there? Nielsen had really shut the gap on him. No love lost there between the two home Swedish men, and you know, Nielsen really was hard on Rickardsson there, but we can see that again from the start. Rickardsson just pushes straight to the first turn, but there's the move that Rickardsson did quite late on in the race. On the last lap, he dived under Nielsen and passed him to take the win.
Well, as it starts to work out, we now know that Billy Hamill has a chance to battle back, has a chance to come back again. And we're moving on to heat number 18. And we saw there a glimpse of Ron Sullivan, who's going so well, who'll wear the white helmet colours in this one. And remember, Ron Sullivan was in the very first race. He's battled through. He's been in pole position for much of the time. And certainly at the moment looking like one of the favourites the way the young Australian has been going. But Chris Louis there getting ready, and now in the blue helmet colours, there he is for Britain. We spoke with Chris Louis, Jonathan Green did earlier on. We know that he had a smile on his face. We know that he feels he can do well. Already up at tapes, Ron Sullivan, the man in the white helmet colours from Australia. Remember, the last two in this race, well, they move in to respectively heats 20 and 19. And they come in the last two there, well, then they tumble out. Here, on the inside is Jimmy Nielsen. Rather Hans Nielsen on the inside. Beg your pardon, from Denmark. Chris Louis goes from gate 2. Ron Sullivan goes from gate 3, and Stefan Dano is on the outside. There is Hans Nielsen, wheel perfect in his first race, and certainly all his experience, and perhaps for him, lucky number 7 this year. Yellow and black there is Stefan Dano, who's pulled a few fine rides here already this evening. Number 14, race jacket. I just wonder, can Hans Nielsen do it again, Peter?
We don't seem to have seen much of Hans tonight, do we? But when we've seen he's been out in the front, and what a cracking start he made in that first one. If he can do that in this one, I can't see anybody touching him, and we know he can do it.
So you get a seeded rider who doesn't race until heat 11 and then wins his heat. He doesn't appear for a long while again, so it's almost like a holiday for him in the early stages.
Well, you can look at that in two ways. He probably feels he'd like to be out there mixing it, you know, and getting warmed up, because you can easily cool down and lose your momentum if you're not careful.
Well, Tony Spenny doing this time, and Chris Louis next to him, and it's going to be really competitive on the inside. Gate 3, Ron Sullivan, Stefan Dano on the outside. Up go the tapes, away they come. Neither can keep it down, but Chris Louis does. Moves up smoothly on the inside ahead of Nielsen. Power on the outside comes down from Sullivan. Sullivan goes round, picks up the dirt. Louis is on his inside. Coming through to him is Stefan Dano. The battle is joined. Hans Nielsen surprisingly in the back. Will have to race again to keep in the Grand Prix. But out front is Ron Sullivan, who seems jet propelled tonight. Ron Sullivan picking up the dirt on the outside, but Ron Sullivan is now relegated because Stefan Dano gets the grip when he wants it. They're all changing places.
Yeah, they are. I mean, this is really happening. It's so exciting. We've got Nielsen there, Hans Nielsen at the back. We've seen him at the front, but now he's at the back. But just look at what's going on. Riders are pushing and shoving and passing. I mean, it's really good racing, and so exciting. And we nearly see Chris Louis here going back into second place if he can just squeeze through there.
Louis got a battle yet, but out front as Stefan Dano is showing superb form here. And certainly Dano looks set to win this. Sullivan is in his wake. and certainly there's going to be a bit to do for Chris Louis, and Chris Louis will have an opportunity to come back, will have a race again, and have a chance to stay in it. But these two move through into the semi-finals, Stefan Dano and Ron Sullivan. Remember, they were both in at the start of the meeting, and they're both still in now. It shows a pattern to this now. Stefan Dano takes the checkered flag. Stefan Dano has enjoyed that one. He's doing well. Well, it's going to be semi-final time before long. Repechage for some very big riders coming up. All of that you can hear with us shortly.
Made a deal with Satan, vanquished their enemies, so Cthulhu was born.
Someone there?
This gala tonight is very important.
The Field Museum of Chicago has a new exhibit, and it wants a captive audience.
We've got problems up here! Going on now! Get inside, now!
From the makers of Time Cop and Aliens, The Relic, tonight on Sky Box Office 4.
The new Citroen Zara Coupe. It's the only thing to be seen in.
So, why wear anything else?
Don't put it off. Put it on. Barclaycard.
Well, he's the spoiler, isn't he, Golob? He's done it before. He's brought a few of them down in the past, and we'll see what he does in this one.
There he is, Thomas Golob, number 3 in the world. Number 3, of course, is the number he rides and wears now for this Grand Prix series. On the inside, Golob. Gate 2, Casper. Gate 3, Hamill. On the outside, 4-time world champion Hans Nielsen. Up go the tapes. Nielsen will try and come across. Coming across even better, though, in white, there is Billy Hamill. Hamill will pick it up. Hamill goes down the straight in front. He won't let it go from here, surely the world champion of 2 years ago. But look from the outside, trying to take it wide. That is Hans Nielsen. He's mounting a challenge. He will go down the straight, but Golob is pursuing Hamill. Nielsen won't give up. Nielsen goes wide to pick up the dirt and pick up the speed as he comes out of that bend. Can he catch Golob?
Well, Nielsen's got to do better than this or he'll be eliminated, but he's riding the outside like we thought he would, but it's a hell of a long way around there. Golob's looked the wrong way, he's looked at the rider in blue, but Nielsen's on the outside, but I'm sure Hans is going far too far, and it looks as though we're going to see Hans Nielsen go out here.
And Hamill and Golob go through. I see Hans Nielsen picking up the dirt there, straight off the dirt deflector, straight in the eyes of Hans Nielsen, but he can still do it here. He's still challenging, but Hamill is out front. Hamill is going well. Hamill is going to qualify for the semi-finals, but the battle is still joined down at the back, and they can battle here, but Golob's holding it at the moment. Nielsen is tracking him. Nielsen is chasing him. The cheers are up. Golob has time to look back. Golob knows there that he takes the checkered flag. He does in red. Hans Nielsen is out in yellow. So too is Tony Casper in blue. They are sorting out the sheep from the goats, but Billy Hamill is very much now among the top men, and he is through to the semi-finals along with Thomas Golob.
Yeah, what a ride there from Billy. I mean, to win this one, I mean, we're getting to the point now where it really matters. We're getting up amongst the Grand Prix points now, and Billy's hungry for it. We've already seen his team Exide mate, Greg Hancock, the current world champion, go out. There's Hans Nielsen, not a happy man, I'm sure. He's out. So it is really rising now to a massive crescendo, but we can see here the start. There is Casper in the blue. His legs are flailing behind him. But there, look on the inside, Golob. It's just done enough to get there ahead of Casper, but we can see Billy Hamill. He's got that inside completely covered. He's come right across the front there of Golob, but Golob there was no way through for him whatsoever. And see this one again, we see Golob there. He's running into the side here of Hamill, but Hamill's already there. Hamill pulls it very, very tight and stops Golob in his tracks. Great ride.
Disappointment then for Hans Nielsen, but he will finish with 8 Grand Prix points. Tony Kasper will finish with 7. And remember, the way the format works out, the 8 men who make the semi-finals here will be the men who will be the seeded riders in the second Grand Prix at Pocking, and their task then may become exceedingly difficult. So maybe, Peter, this format is going to be a great leveller, and the star men are showing certainly tonight, but coming in late, it's a little bit tough for them, certainly on tracks like this.
Yes, it is. I don't think Hans will be happy. You know, like I said earlier, he's not done a lot of meetings this year, and he's probably a bit rusty, and he was a bit rusty for this meeting because he's just not had enough races, and I'm sure he'll be a bit concerned about that, and he knows that if he's got to be world champion this year, he's really got to do better than this, and he's certainly got to do something else in the next Grand Prix if he's going to keep his chances going.
So heat number 20 coming to tapes, and remember, when they sort out the first 2 here, they will both be in the semi-finals. The riders who come 3rd and 4th will disappear. They will get respectively 8 and 7 Grand Prix points. We will know who the top 8 are, and they will be the men battling for honours. Among them, Lee Adams on the inside. Zoltan Adoyan will go from gate 2. Chris Louis, who started so well, disappointing in his last ride, but I think he's got the speed to come back here. And Henrik Gustafsson's on the outside. Adoyan, the surprise package of this one, Peter.
Yeah, but I'll have to put my England cap on now, won't we? We've got Chris Louis again in this one, and you know, we had a Grand Prix winner last year at the very finish with Mark Lorham, and to say I've got my fingers crossed here for Chris Louis because he's been riding very, very well up to now, but I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to put the mockers on him, but the way Lee Adams has been trapping, we can just we can see here now that the rider in yellow, Gustafsson's got a problem. The rider's there messing with his chain oiler and his ignition, so it looks as though he's changing bikes as well.
Yes, it just beat that 2-minute time warning. Remember, the referee can impose 2 minutes to get on their way to tapes, and Henrik Gustafsson is doing so on a different machine from the one he's selected for this heat. Already up at tapes in the blue helmet colours there is Zoltan Adoyan, and moving up on the inside is Lee Adams, the Australian. Gate 3 will be Chris Louis, in whose, well, in our hopes are high of Chris Louis. And on the outside in yellow and black, that's Henrik Gustafsson. This is going to be truly competitive. This is important. Remember, glory into the semi-finals for the first 2, disappointment and on the way home for those that come in 3rd and 4th place. Number 19 there, Henrik Gustafsson from Sweden. The Swedish race jacket, the yellow helmet colours. Chris Louis is just inside him. Something of a surprise packet is Adoyan, the blue helmet colours behind the starting line. Riders look down, the tapes go up, and a lightning from the tapes is Lee Adams, but coming across in white is Chris Louis, and if Louis can pick this up, he's away! Chris Louis can make the semi-finals. Chris Louis will be a seeded rider next time. Chris Louis could be on his way to glory. Forgive our cheering for the Brits, but Chris Louis from Ipswich in England. The England captain is out front, ahead of the Aussie Lee Adams, back in 3rd place. That in yellow and black is Henrik Gustafsson. At the rear, Zoltan Adoyan, but what about Chris Louis out front?
Yes, Tony, what an absolute rocket of a start Chris made there. I mean, he just shot from those tapes. He really means business in this one, and just look at him pulling away. He's riding very, very good. He's not putting a wheel wrong. He's ridden like this all night. If he can just keep this up, like I say, I've got my fingers crossed for him, and he's pulling away. I hope he can get in this top 8 now. If he can just keep those wheels in line, keep the power on, just keep ahead of the others, we can see him into the top 8.
Well, top 8 it'll be. That's through to the semi-finals. A chance of glory, chance of the big one, chance of the big money, and a chance of points. And back in 2nd place there is Lee Adams. Chris Louis is going to win this one by a street. Chris Louis has picked the right racing line. He's picked up the dirt when it's counted, and he's taken the checkered flag to show true quality. And in last place there was Zoltan Adoyan coming through. Henrik Gustafsson got 3rd, but both of those will disappear. And marching through to the semi-finals, in white will be Chris Louis, and in red will be Lee Adams. Henrik Gustafsson and Zoltan Adoyan are eliminated. They get respectively 8 and 7 Grand Prix points. But the checkered flag in that one belongs to Chris Louis. Britain reigns supreme at the moment. What a performance by the rider from Ipswich.
Yeah, now we can see this there. Look at Gustafsson on the outside. He's lifted. But there, Chris Louis in the white. What a start. He's accelerating quicker than the rest. He turns quite late. He runs out to the dirt on the outside. He turns quite sharply here. At this point, he's in the lead. You can see the riders there, especially Lee Adams, who are well behind. The rider in yellow and black there, Gustafsson's taking all kinds of dirt, going very, very wide. He's lost the plot altogether, but Chris Louis just accelerated away, and No one got anywhere near him in that race, and it is looking very, very good for him. You can see he's not looking back at the riders. He's riding his own race. He's feeling for that grip there on the bike. He's part of the bike, just one with the machine, and that's exactly what he needed at this stage, and that's great that he's now made the semi-finals.
Great performance by Chris Louis then. He is through to the semi-finals. We'll have news of the lineups in those as we march on towards the big one after the break.
The Seat Ibiza comes complete with rally-proven reliability, having triumphed through wind, ice and driving rain to win the F2 World Rally Championship for the last 2 years. Seat, enjoy yourself.
Aquatonic by Fabergé.
You left us with Chris Louis having a superb Heat 20. Jonathan Green has now got him at trackside.
Well, I'm with the man doing a great job for us tonight, Chris Louis. Another great race there. Looking at your semi-final draw, though, it's going to be tough, isn't it?
Yeah, I think any semi-final in this competition is going to be tough. So the competition right through has been tough. You know, even the qualifying heats is no easy heats. So nothing's changed really. Just got to try and I'm making pretty good starts, pretty good first corners. So if I can make a couple more of them, I'll be happy.
Dano's looking good, so too is Thomas Gollop, and the fans here have obviously come to see him. They love to see him race. Are you going to play it any differently than you have already?
No, I mean the track's pretty slick, but you know, it's wide open. There's bumps and holes and patches, and you can pass almost anywhere. So you've got to be on your guard even when you're in front. So no, I mean the game plan is to make a start and go as fast as I can.
Still confident we can go all the way?
Yeah, I am.
Good for you.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
By winning Heat 20, of course, and I don't know whether this is tactics at all, we can chat with the guys in the studio here. By winning Heat 20, that puts him on the Gate 3, which he won that heat from, for his semi-final 2 appearance. And semi-final 2 was a general consensus between you two that it's probably the easier of the 2 semi-finals. Do you want to explain that one, Sam?
Well, I just think if you look at the riders, there is a ratio here that from the early qualifying round, there's 2 from each in each semi-final, and there's 2 that were seeded into the main event. But if you look at the names, I would prefer probably being in the semi-final number 2.
And you can see there, semi-final number 1 is Rickardsson, Sullivan, Hamill and Adams, probably, as you said earlier, the slightly more difficult semi-final of the 2. We're looking at Ryan Sullivan there. He's preparing himself for semi-final 1 in a minute. That's race 21 today. But in semi-final number 2, which is actually Heat 22, there it is. Dano, Nilsson, Chris Louis and Thomas Gollop, but significantly, as we were talking about, out of Gate 3, which seems to be working very well. It certainly did for Billy Hamill. When we see him in semi-final 1, he's off of Gate 3 as well, and he won Heat 19 in that particular position. So, Kel, why is the dirt better there?
I think it's just later on in the meeting, and the material on top of the track has moved out, and it's given the guys a better run off the first corner. And generally, I think the surface at the start is more consistent there, and the guys are getting a better feel off the start. Gate 1, as we saw with Greg Hancock, didn't work for him, and he went out of the meeting.
Good point also, Sam, that you brought up a little earlier, was the 50-50 seeded riders versus qualifiers. It's obviously working for Ollie Olsen, isn't it? We have had drama throughout the night here. We've got 50% of the qualifiers and 50% of the seeded riders. So do you think it's been a success so far?
I think it has been. I think that there's a lot to talk about after this this first GP, and the second one will be much interesting because you can lay a pattern from this one into the next one, and you might see the same thing being repeated.
Well, we are looking at the preparations for semi-final 1, and already there's 1 minute and 6 seconds left to get them down to the gate. You can see the timer in. They're under 2 minutes, and that's an order. If they don't make it by the time they get to that gate there, it closes, and anyone not out on the track doesn't make it to the start. And there it is, the start then of semi-final 1, and we can go over to our commentary team, Pete Collins and Tony Millard, and it's going to be good.
There we are. The consolation heat, of course, is the old B final that third and fourth go to. They're still among the points. The first two go through to the big final. That's where the drama starts. But there's plenty of drama here. Tony Rickardsson on the inside. He's from Sweden, of course. Ron Sullivan from Australia, gate 2 in blue. Billy Hamill, the former world champion, the USA, goes in gate 3. And from Australia, Lee Adams on the outside in the yellow and black helmet colours. This, as is the other one, as you heard the lads say, it's going to be tough. Gamesmanship comes into it as Lee Adams tries to get some fresh air under his visor. Peter, this is going to be competitive.
Yes, it is. You've got certainly some experienced lads in there with Rickardsson and Hamill, both previous world champions, but Sullivan, his first Grand Prix season, and he's in there really mixing it with the big boys, and Lee Adams is flying, so do well to pick out who wins this one.
Gate could be important. Tapes go up, away they fly. On the inside in red is Rickardsson. Picks it up, comes wide, blocks the way, and gets out front. Tony Rickardsson going round the outside and trying to pick it up is Lee Adams, but in second place is Billy Hamill in white. 1 and 2, remember, go through to the final. Rickardsson's machine takes a jump. Hamill in pursuit. Tailed off at the back is Ron Sullivan. His worst race so far. Can he pick it up into third? But out front, good work from Rickardsson and Hamill, who now looks set to make the final.
Yeah, we can see this now. Rickardsson there and Hamill, they're both getting warmed up. We know that they didn't start till late, but now they're really getting in the groove of things just at the right time, and the class is really starting to come out now. And the inexperienced lads, perhaps Sullivan and perhaps Lee Adams at the back now, really getting the rough end of the stick there from these two top lads.
Yes, it'll be two seeded riders going through to the final if it stays like this. The pattern that Samuel Malenko was talking about could emerge, but 1 and 2 is Tony Rickardsson in red. Billy Hamill's back in second place in white. Coming through in third place there is Lee Adams. Tailed off at the rear is Ron Sullivan, and that very much looks as if that's how they're going to finish. The wheelie over the line is done from Tony Rickardsson. That indeed is how it finishes. Disappointment indeed there for Lee Adams. Disappointment for Ron Sullivan, because the Australians finished 3 and 4. They go into the consolation final, as you describe it. But Tony Rickardsson and Billy Hamill, both world champions of days gone by, are through to the final. Sweden and the USA battle royal.
Yeah, that was a great ride there from Rickardsson. He really meant business in that race, and there he is, carrying that checkered flag there, booked his place in that big final. But we can see again the start here, the rider in yellow there, Lee Adams, he's sat bolt upright on that bike. Billy Hamill in the white, he's got his head down with a more crouching style, but just look at Rickardsson there off the inside gate position, makes a beautiful start. He's got his back wheel on that dirt that's been dragged down by the tractors. He cuts there right across the inside of Hamill, stops him altogether. You saw that quick look across to the outside. He knows that Lee Adams there, but he knows that Lee's not close enough to give him any problems. And from then on, away he went to take that win. But just look at the bit of lifting there that Sullivan had on that first lap. He got in all kinds of bother there, but again, we can see Hamill, he's setting the trend there for that second place, and he knows that's good enough to put him in the big final, and that's the one that matters.
Well, that's certainly the one that matters. I was looking back on the end there. I was concentrating on the riders in front. I'm not actually sure which one finished last, but nevertheless, they both go through, of course, to that consolation semi-final. Consolation final, that's heat 23. But now the second of the big ones, the second of the semi-finals, as they battle here to move through to that final to join those top two. Remember, already through Tony Rickardsson, the winner of heat 21, and that means that certainly he will have a choice there of gate in the grand final. In the semi-finals, plenty of action still to come here. A little bit of gamesmanship, but already up at tapes there is Thomas Golob. Rider number 14, Stefan Dano, something of a surprise packet here. Adjustments to his machinery as the clock counts down. It's the 2-minute period. If I can remember rightly, Peter, I think it's the first time tonight Stefan Dano's gone from the inside gate.
Yeah, you know, Stefan's been absolutely flying today. What a surprise. It's his first Grand Prix as well. We know he rides for Eastbourne in the Elite League in England, and that's a tiny little track down there in Eastbourne, but he gets around there really well, and he's been having a great year this year. He's top scored up and down the country for his club, and you know, to come in at this level and do so well, it's just unbelievable. He just seems to have no nerves. He's just getting in there and doing it.
But we will be backing Chris Louis, who goes in white. We want to see the Brit through to the final, and he can do it, the Great Britain captain. At the blue helmet colours there, Jimmy Nielsen, but there is Chris Louis, hiding behind the starting marshal. And certainly Chris Louis with the number 18 will be among the seeded riders next time out. That's at Pocking in Germany for the second of these Grand Prix in 3 weeks' time. The outside in yellow and black, Thomas Golov. Got plenty of space to pole, and I've just got a feeling that he'll be going full throttle for that first bend, Peter.
Yes, he will. There he is on the outside in the blue leathers. I always used to like the outside because you know that if you didn't quite make the start, you had a chance to get round everybody because you weren't going to get in the middle of a sandwich, and that is quite a psychological advantage, especially for a bloke like Golov.
So there we go, from the inside, picking up in blue is Jimmy Nielsen. Chris Louis is there. Louis picks it up. Louis got a challenge mounted here. Louis, if he keeps going, can he go around the outside? Golov's in his way. Louis back in third. Louis is going to have to battle here, tailed off at the rear, but that's Golov on the outside. Coming through in the blue helmet colours out front is Jimmy Nielsen. Sweden in front, Poland in second place. Louis back in third, will miss out if it stays like this. In red at the back is Stefan Dano. He's had a great night but can't match the men out front at the moment, and these two are certainly battling here, using all the track is Thomas Golov, certainly. Yeah, you know, Jimmy Nielsen again, he's jumped out of that start. He just seems to ride round as though he's sat in an armchair. He's completely unaware of what's going on behind him. He's riding his own race. But just look at Chris Louis having a go here. Chris Louis is really getting stuck in there to Thomas Golov. Can Louis make it? The battle is joined. Louis trying to pick up the grip. Golov's gone closer to the inside. Louis got work to do. No such work for the man out front, Jimmy Nielsen, who's surely going to win this in blue. But can Louis pick it up? Louis trying. The poles away with their...
I wish I was in the land of the pharaohs. I wish I was in Egypt. See your travel agent and pick up a Hazen Jarvis, Thompson's, Bales, Kearney or Thomas Cook brochure, or phone 0870 1234 321.
Finish double action tablets now have a plus. New extra powerful enzymes in the blue layer. Our best just got better.
Oh, that's a stroke of genius! And what a stunning finish!
Cuprinol exterior wood stains.
These are the scenes at the Markéta Stadium in the Czech Republic, just outside Prague. They're having a great time, just like we are here in London. So superb racing then from Jimmy Nielsen. He goes through into the big final tonight, and he'll get second choice as far as the grid is concerned. We can go back now though for the consolation final. This is points 15 through 10 for 5th to 8th place in the Grand Prix here. We've got Pete Collins and of course Tony Millard.
Mathematics are simple indeed for these men. Two Australians in Lee Adams and Ron Sullivan go from gates 1 and 3. Chris Louis is in gate 2 and Stefan Dano on the outside. It may be consolation, but it's valuable prize money and valuable Grand Prix points, with all these four riders assured of being among the seeded riders next time. As far as the riders are concerned, well, this is just the first leg of a series of events. And a chance for all the riders for glory later on. It's Lee Adams on the inside. Chris Louis goes from gate 2. Ron Sullivan is gate 3 and Stefan Dano on the outside. That's Lee Adams, number 15, the familiar red leathers for the Swindon rider. He makes the final. or rather, if he makes it through as a seeded rider next time, he could well be in the same heat as his fellow Swindon rider, Jimmy Nielsen. And here, this is for places, as Keith said, from 5 to 8, which is 15, 14, 12 and 10 points. Heat 23. On the inside is Adams. Oh, looked like a full start to me, but let it go. The rider in blue coming through there is Chris Louis. Louis could get fifth in the Grand Prix as he leads Adams coming through. In third place in white there is Ron Sullivan. On the outside, Stefan Dano producing that burst of speed he produced early on to put Chris Louis under pressure. But Louis is in front and looks set to sail home if he doesn't have a mechanical problem here.
Yeah, he's doing a great job here, Chris. Just a shame he had that one bad ride. If he wins this one, he really done well, because fifth place overall in this Grand Prix will mean a lot to him, because it'll be a great start to keep him in the top 8 for the next one. But he's pulling away here slightly from Dano. Dano's a real trier, he won't give up. But you know, Chris just keeps his head down and just goes as quick as he can for 4 laps from start to finish. He just does not give up.
Chris Louis in front of Stefan Dano. England first, Sweden second. Not too much to go. Chris Louis, keep your concentration on. Keep the Grand Prix points boiling up and keep the money going into the bank. Chris Louis in front of Stefan Dano, back in second place. They're going to get some applause from the fans here, but Chris Louis knows that he's in charge and takes the checkered flag there ahead of Stefan Dano. Back in third place was Ron Sullivan, and disappointment at the back for Lee Adams in red. The Australians coming third and fourth, and well, triumph indeed for Chris Louis ahead of Stefan Dano. And that means valuable Grand Prix points, as you see. Chris Louis gets the 15 points for finishing in 5th place. Stefan Dano gets 14 points. Ron Sullivan gets 12. And, well, for Lee Adams, it's just 10. But now we can go trackside, where Jonathan Green has with him Jimmy Nielsen.
Well, a very delighted Jimmy Nielsen into the final. I think your expression at the end of that race said it all. You are delighted, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I put a lot of work into this. We mechanics worked hard, and we tried a lot of things. And I felt the practice things felt really good, and I just wanted to keep my head cool and concentrate on my starts. And I'm 4 heats and I'm in the final, and I'm just going to have another go at it now.
We haven't talked to you all night. How tough is it out there racing?
It's tough because you can get eliminated so quick. You know, you've got to make sure you make the start, and if you get in the wrong heat and the wrong position, you only get one chance at it, and I ain't going to miss him.
Greg Hancock's already out, so that's an interesting thing, because everybody said he'd be favourite. Hamill's struggling, but he's in there, the final, so you've got a chance of really making some points now, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm making good starts, and I rode as fast today. I did a few alterations for the last one, and I beat Golop, and that's quite nice against the Polish fans.
All right, see you in the final.
Thanks.
Jimmy Nielsen, one of the riders in the final, along with Tony Rickardsson, Billy Hamill and Thomas Golov. The track is being graded. We know that Rickardsson will have first choice of gate, Jimmy Nielsen will have second choice of gate, Billy Hamill will have third choice, and Thomas Golov will be left with the remaining gate position. It promises to be dramatic and competitive.
Well, a good night's work for Chris Louis, and obviously winning the consolation final. Not as good as you'd want, but it's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming up through the qualifying rounds, obviously it's not a bad start to the year, but I'm so close to making that 8 final. You know, I got up alongside Thomas, but he just had a bit more speed coming off the corner. You know, had a better line off the corner, and I wasn't able to quite keep my nose in front. But no, I mean, if you're in a consolation final, you might as well win it, really. So yeah, I'm relatively pleased.
Obviously, with the new format, 24 riders, you've seen them all in action tonight. Do you feel confident about the year ahead now?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm riding better anyway. My league form is a bit better, and just enjoying myself. All the league clubs I have are good fun to ride in, and we're going well. So yeah, I'm happy, I'm confident. This is not a bad start.
I sort of favour Tony Rickardsson. I think he's been the class act of the meeting. I don't think he's really had to put himself out. I think he will tend to go for the inside.
OK, well, he's taken a good look at it now. He's got first choice, Rickardsson, of course. Now, assuming that Tony Rickardsson is your choice then, because you were getting on the same fence, I think, as Sam was a minute ago, as far as hedging bets is concerned. Assuming he goes for the inside line and he may be our race winner, who's going to give him the most of a hard time here?
Well, Billy's always up for these sort of things, and Golub. You know, those two, I think, are...
no mention of Jimmy Nielsen, and he's had a couple of good rides.
Dark horse, isn't he?
He's making great starts, too, so, I mean, if he goes... He doesn't have the pressure on him, I don't think, really, compared to the... You know, Tony's probably expected to win this.
Here we go.
Yeah, the inside.
Inside line then for Tony Rickardsson, so that's 1 to Sam Emelianenko, because he had the choice first. OK, we've got Jimmy Nielsen. What gate's he going to go for, Kel?
Well, I think he might well go for either 2 or 3, to be honest.
straight in there? No, he's having a look.
He's having a look. I don't think you'd want to get stuck on the outside here. I think psychologically you'd feel happier being on the inside.
It looks to me that they've graded the track but they haven't watered it, which is significant, and you were talking about that, Sam. What difference is that going to make at the start?
I think right now what Jimmy's probably thinking is that he knows that he can make the start, but if he doesn't make the start, the pressure on Tony making the start is going to move everybody out, and his best chance is probably going to be sneaking under the inside of him off of turn 2.
Yeah, he's gone for gate 2, look.
So he's gone for 2, so that bears out your theory there. That leaves us with Billy Hamill now.
Yeah.
I've got to choose either gate 3 or 4. Again, Sam, what would you favour here?
Well, I'd be scared about Golub being off 4 if I took gate 3, but Billy's such a trapper, you know. I think he can gate any one of these guys any time, and that plays in his favor. If he comes off gate 4, he's going to come straight across him, and then he's going to have first choice of the dirt, but Tony's going to be pushing.
Kelvin, is he capable of doing that? He's gone for that outside again. Sam Emelianenko, as he speaks, he's absolutely right there. So that leaves Thomas Golub with gate 3.
Cheering for Thomas Golub. It seems tonight that half of Poland has made it across to Prague. The Marketa Stadium, their target, and a win for their man Thomas Golub. But 4 seeded riders. Tony Rickardsson had first gate choice, elected to go from the inside. Second gate choice to the Swede, Jimmy Nilsson. He will wear the blue helmet colours, and he will go from gate 2. Thomas Golub was left with gate 3. You see him there in the white helmet colours. Billy Hamill, the American and the world champion 2 years ago, elected to go for the outside, and he wears the yellow and black helmet colours. Remember, it's money and points, but the real points, 25, go to the winner. This is the finale, the final. It's heat 24 of the first Grand Prix of the 1998 season, sponsored by Lek, here in the Marketa Stadium. It promises to be truly competitive, and whoever wins it will have certainly earned his money and his points here this evening. It should be exciting, just about to get underway. Starting marshal begins to get impatient. The riders show signs of nerves, dare I say it, as darkness descends in depth here and the floodlights shine brightly. Billy Hamill looks across to the gate, to the tapes, to the magnets. The others delay coming up. Well, up on the inside comes Tony Rickardsson. Thomas Golub moves up there. Now Jimmy Nilsson, they're all there. Who's going to win this one? It could be down to gating, it could be down to the line they pick. The starting marshal moves away. Up go the tapes, they fly on the inside in red. Rickardsson picks it up to the apex of the bend. Rickardsson is there, storming through on the inside in white, and picking it up there is Thomas Golub, but in red Rickardsson picks it up again. Hamill comes round the outside, trailing at the back at the moment in blue is Jimmy Nilsson, but Hamill is coming round the outside. Hamill is storming after Tony Rickardsson. It's still anybody's race.
Yeah, it looks as though Rickardsson wants his name back on that World Championship trophy. He's really going well, but Hamill's having to go around the outside. But like we said earlier, I don't think there's enough grip out there. The inside's still working real good, but Hamill's having to go here big time against Rickardsson, who seems to be holding that lead just about at this time.
Any mistake by Rickardsson will let Hamill through. He's chasing, he's fast, but Rickardsson at the moment is wheel perfect. In his wake back there in white is Thomas Golub. Way back now is Jimmy Nilsson, who's had a disappointing end to what was an earlier very successful night. But in the red helmet colours there, Rickardsson finds time to look back. Rickardsson is going to hold off the challenge from Billy Hamill. Rickardsson is going to get the cheers of the fans. Up they go, because Rickardsson waves to the fans. In yellow in second place, going through there is Billy Hamill. In blue, well, Tony Rickardsson, blue, Jimmy Nilsson was at the back. Thomas Golub, I think, moved through into the third place there. But, well, who knows? What a triumph it was for that man in red, Tony Rickardsson, the first Grand Prix winner of the year. And Tony Rickardsson knows only too well that there is another checkered flag, and Thomas Golub goes off in disappointment.
Rickardsson really dominated that race. He made the start and just went for it. Billy Hamill there on the outside. You can see Billy. He's got too far to go. There's just not enough grip out there. But just look at there. Rickardsson comes straight into that picture. Very, very dominant. I think the edge that he's got this year, that he's riding regularly now in England, different sized tracks, day in, day out.
Well, Sweden won the first Grand Prix with Tony Rickardsson. Fantastic. You didn't put a foot wrong all night.
No, things went really well, you know. I had a really good backup team that helped me through the meeting, and I was a bit, what should you say, you know, a bit nervous for the first race, but after you got that over and done with, things went really smooth for us, and you know, my Java bikes went great, and the whole team worked really well.
And despite your great record, that's the first time you've actually won an individual Grand Prix event.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I've been like top scorer going into the finals, but I've never been able to win it. So it felt like it's been a bit of a curse to me, you know. So I'm like so relieved that I can win one now. Woohoo!
So now you can go all the way to the and finish it now and win the Grand Prix season, you think?
Oh, you know, it's a long season to go, but sure, you know, I had a really great start to the season, and I just, you know, hope I can keep it up and have as much fun as I have for the moment. So I'm sure I'm going to give the other guys a good run for the money anyway.
Well done and congratulations.
Thank you.
Tony Rickardsson then gets a maximum in the Czech Republic. 25 points are his. Billy Hamill comes through from that grid position, white helmeted grid position, into 20 points. Jimmy Nilsson ends up with 18. Thomas Golob just with 16. Chris Louis, what a fight from him. He picked up the consolation final and 15 points as well. Dano, Sullivan and Adams, they finish behind him in the consolation final and get 14 through 10 points. Those men will be seeded into the main event next time round. Henke Gustafsson there on 8. Nilsson, Adorian, Kasper, Loram, Hancock, Anderson and Brahel finish out the top 16. 5 points to Brahel. Still with the points then after round 1. Craig Boyce on 4, as in Jesper Jensen. 3 points go to Gerdris and Jason Crump. Crump very disappointing this weekend. Andy Smith on 2 along with Armando Castagna. Very unlucky indeed from him. Peter Carlson and Peter Protasevich on 1 point. That is your 24 riders in today's round 1 from the Czech Republic. Well, round 1 of Grand Prix Speedway is now done and dusted. Round 2 is from Pocking in Germany on June the 6th. On Sky Sports 3, live and exclusive, June the 6th, 6:30 p.m. is when we kick off. But before then, with the highlights of another Grand Prix, but this time it's the circuit racing version, the Italian Grand Prix from Mugello. Round 4, the 125, 250s and 500, May 17th at 8 p.m. on Sky Sports 2. And just to prove Sky Sports is the best place for bikes, don't forget round 4 of the World Superbikes. It's on May 24th, and our coverage is live and, of course, uninterrupted. It's another 5-hour extravaganza. Don't miss that. My thanks very much to you, gentlemen, for joining us here in the studio. And, of course, to you for watching. From us, then, bye for now.